Number 1. It is a 6-letter word consisting of 2 syllables. The first syllable sounds like the name of the insect in the picture. The second syllable sounds like the name of a number. Number 2. It consists of 2 words. The first word is already given. The first syllable of the second word are the last 2 letters of the word within. The last syllable of the second word is to be replaced by the underlined letter of the word stand with CE. Number 3. It consists of 2 words. The first word is synonymous with the word equal. Number 4. It is a 4-syllable word that if broken can create 3 new words. The first is the opposite of the word always. The second is already given. The third is the opposite of the word more. And number 5. It is a 7-letter word that begins with letter B, followed by an E. The rest is in relationship with the word effect. Here are the answers. Number 1. Before. Number 2. For instance. Number 3. Even though. Number 4. Nevertheless. And number 5. Because. Let's try another activity. Fill in the blanks with the correct transition signals that will complete the ideas of the given sentences. Choose from the given choices. Write your answers on a separate sheet of paper. Number 1. Blank, the invention of gaming gadgets. Children and teenagers usually spent more of their leisure time playing outdoor games. Here are your choices. A. Because. B. Before. C. Even though. And D. For instance. Number 2. If you will have a PowerPoint presentation in class, you need to prepare in advance. Blank, setting up the computer or laptop, including the LCD, the projector, and checking its connectivity to avoid technical problems. And here are your choices. Letter A, before. Letter B, even though. Letter C, for instance. And letter D, nevertheless. Number 3. Blank, I am allergic to sunlight. My friends and I still went to the beach to sunbathe. Here are your choices. Letter A, before. Letter B, even though. Letter C, for instance. And letter D, nevertheless. Number 4. She lost her balance in doing her routine in the competition. Blank, she stood up and finished the dance gracefully. And here are your choices. Letter A, before. Letter B, even though. Letter C, for instance. And letter D, nevertheless. Number 5. I did not hear the phone ringing. Blank, the sound of the television was in full blast. Here are your choices. Letter A, because. Letter B, before. letter C, even though, and letter D, nevertheless. It's time to check your answers. Number 1, the correct answer is letter B. Number 2, the correct answer is letter C. Number 3, the correct answer is letter B. Number 4, the correct answer is letter D. And number 5, the correct answer is letter A. That concludes our lesson for today, Grade 8 English Voyagers. Make sure to always stay tuned to DepEd TV and have a journey with me in Grade 8 English, where you will have fun and interesting learning experiences that will not just feed your mind, but will also nurture your love for English. Again, this is Teacher Lammy, your Frenny, saying, don't fret, because learning English is not a threat. Instead, it is our gateway to understand and learn more about the world.
Kagamath, let's do this. Journey with me as we face, overcome, and befriend the challenges ahead. We can because we are Mathematis in yan. I am Teacher Andrew, your soulmate. Allow me to guide you in learning the different concepts and skills in Mathematics 9. In today's episode, we will be exposed to various word problems that involve rational algebraic equations which can be transformed into quadratic equations. A number less its reciprocal is 8 over 3. What is the number? Step 1. Represent the given quantities and set up an equation. The number referred to in the problem can be represented as x and its reciprocal as 1 over x. So, the verbal sentence, a number less its reciprocal is 8 over 3, can be translated as the equation x minus 1 over x equals 8 over 3. Here, x should not be equal to 0, otherwise, 1 over x is undefined. Step 2. Transform the equation into a quadratic equation in standard form. The LCM of the denominators x and 3 is their product. Hence, the LCD of 1 over x and 8 over 3 is 3x. We now multiply both sides of the equation by 3x. X times 3x is 3x squared, and by cross cancellation, negative 1 over x times 3x is negative 3, and 8 over 3 times 3x is 8x. Hence, the resulting equation is 3x squared minus 3 equals 8x. And its standard form is 3x squared minus 8x minus 3 equals 0. Step 3. Solve the derived quadratic equation written in standard form. The equation 3x squared minus 8x minus 3 equals 0 can also be solved by factoring. 3x squared minus 8x minus 3 must be equal to the product of the binomials 3x plus 1 and x minus 3. Hence, we have the equation 3x plus 1 times the binomial x minus 3 equals 0. Equating each factor to 0 and then solving for x, we should obtain the following values: negative 1/3 and 3. Since it is not indicated in the problem what type of number is being referred to, there are two answers, negative 1/3 and 3. Problem solved! For the second set of problems, I gave the name alone and together. This is a duo. Let us get to know each one. Problem number 1. It takes Mary 3 hours more to do a job than it takes Jane. If they work together, they can finish the same job in 2 hours. How long would it take Mary to finish the job alone? For problems involving rate of work, we have to use this formula. Portion of work done equals rate of work times time. Rate of work refers to the amount of work done per unit of time. So, we let x be the number of hours it takes Jane to finish the job alone. This means that Jane's rate is 1 over x. She can accomplish 1 over x of the job per hour. Then, it follows that Mary needs x plus 3 hours to finish the job alone. Hence, her rate of work is 1 over x plus 3. Mary can accomplish 1 over x plus 3 of the job per hour. And since it was mentioned that if they work together, they can finish the job in 2 hours, we indicate in the table that each of Jane and Mary works for 2 hours. To determine the portion of work done by Jane, we multiply the rate by the time. 1 over x times 2 is equal to 2 over x. To determine the portion of work done by Mary, we multiply the rate by the time. 1 over x plus 3 times 2 is equal to 2 over x plus 3. They work together and finish the job. Hence, if we add the portion of work done by Mary to the work done by Jane, it will be equal to 1 completed work. So we have the equation 2 over x plus 2 over x plus 3 equals 1, where x can't be 0 because 2 over x will be undefined, nor can it be negative 3 because 2 over x plus 3 will be undefined. Now, we must transform the equation into a quadratic equation. The first step is to identify the LCD of the expressions in the equation. Observe that x and x plus 3 are both prime. Hence, the LCD will be their product. We now multiply both sides of the rational algebraic equation by this LCD. By cross cancellation, 2 over x times the LCD x multiplied by the binomial x plus 3 is equal to 2 times the binomial x plus 3. And 2 over x plus 3 times the LCD x multiplied by the binomial x plus 3 is equal to 2x. While 1 times the LCD x times the binomial x plus 3 is simply equal to the LCD itself, x times the binomial x plus 3. Thus, the resulting equation is 2 times the binomial x plus 3 plus 2x equals x times the binomial x plus 3. This means that 2x plus 6 plus 2x is equal to x squared plus 3x. The standard form of this equation is written as x squared minus x minus 6 equals 0. And this can also be solved by factoring. X squared minus x minus 6 is equal to the product of the binomials x minus 3 and x plus 2. Hence, we have the equation binomial x minus 3 times binomial x plus 2 equals 0. And equating each factor to 0, we can conclude that x is equal to 3 and also equal to negative 2. However, x represents the number of hours it takes Jane to finish the job alone. It can't be negative, so x must be equal to 3. Jane can finish the job alone in 3 hours, and thus, Mary can do it alone in 6 hours. Problem solved! Problem number 2. Two painters working together can paint the front of a house in 16 hours. Working alone, one of the painters can finish the job in 24 hours less time than it takes the other painter to do the job alone. How much time does it take the faster painter to do the job alone? We let x be the number of hours it takes the slower painter to finish the job alone. This means that the painter's rate is 1 over x. He or she can accomplish 1 over x of the job per hour. It follows that it takes x minus 24 hours for the faster painter to finish the job alone. This means that this painter's rate is 1 over x minus 24. He or she can accomplish 1 over x minus 24 of the job per hour. As mentioned in the problem, they can finish the job in 16 hours if they work together. We shall indicate in the table that they both work for 16 hours. We multiply 1 over x by 16 to determine the portion of work done by the slower painter. 1 over x times 16 is equal to 16 over x. We multiply 1 over x minus 24 by 16 to determine the portion of work done by the faster painter. And 1 over x minus 24 times 16 is equal to 16 over x minus 24. And since they can finish one whole job by working together, we shall add up the portion of work done by each painter. So, we write the equation 16 over x plus 16 over x minus 24 equals 1, where x should not be equal to 0 and to 24 because 16 over x and 16 over x minus 24 will be undefined respectively. Then, we determine the LCD. Observe that x and x minus 24 are both prime. Hence, the LCD will be their product. Next, we multiply both sides of the equation by the LCD. By cross cancellation, 16 over x times the LCD x multiplied by the binomial x minus 24 must be equal to 16 times the binomial x minus 24, and 16 over x minus 24 times the LCD x multiplied by the binomial x minus 24 equals 16x, while 1 times the LCD x multiplied by the binomial x minus 24 is simply equal to the LCD itself. The resulting equation is 16 times the binomial x minus 24 plus 16x equals x times the binomial x minus 24. This means that 16x minus 384 plus 16x is equal to x squared minus 24x. In standard form, this is written as x squared minus 56x plus 384 equals 0. And this can also be solved by factoring. Expressing the trinomial on the left side in factored form, the equation must be written now as binomial x minus 8 times binomial x minus 48 equals 0. Equating each factor to 0, we would arrive at these values of x, 8 and 48. Recall that the faster painter takes x minus 24 hours to finish the job alone. So x can't be 8, since 8 minus 24 is equal to negative 16. Thus, x must be 48. It takes the slower painter 48 hours to finish the job alone, and hence, it only requires the faster painter 24 hours to finish the job alone. Problem solved! We move on to our next set of word problems, which I will label as Current de Villa. Problem number 1. A motorboat heads upstream a distance of 48 kilometers on a river whose current is running at 3 kilometers per hour. Then, the motorboat returns. The trip upstream and back takes 12 hours. Assuming that the motorboat maintains a constant speed relative to the water, what is its speed? First, we take note of the path or direction of the object, which in this case is the motorboat. There are two paths or directions taken by the motorboat: upstream, as mentioned in the first sentence of the problem, and downstream, as implied by the second sentence. Then the motorboat returns. Second, we express the speed of object when traveling upstream and downstream in terms of the speed of the current and the speed of the object relative to the water or in still water. The speed here is expressed in the unit kph or kilometer per hour. The speed of the current is 3 kilometers per hour. The speed of the motorboat in still water is unknown. Let's represent it using the variable x. And this is actually what we have to solve for, as implied by the sentence, assuming that the motorboat maintains a constant speed relative to the water. What is its speed? If the object moves upstream, it means it goes against the current, and hence, its speed when traveling upstream is equal to its speed in still water reduced by the speed of the current. So, we may represent the speed of the motorboat when it travels upstream as x minus 3. Now, if the object moves downstream, it means it goes with the current, and hence, its speed when traveling downstream is equal to its speed in still water increased by the speed of the current. So, we may represent the speed of the motorboat in this direction as x plus 3. Third, we record in the table the distance covered by the motorboat in each direction. It goes upstream as far as it goes downstream. Both trips are 48 kilometers long. Lastly, we take note of the time. The problem did not state how long it takes the boat to travel in each direction. We must express the time in terms of the distance and speed. Recall that distance equals speed times time, and when time is unknown, it must be equal to distance over speed. Hence, the time in hours it takes the boat to travel 48 kilometers upstream is equal to 48 over x minus 3, while it takes the boat 48 over x plus 3 hours to travel 48 kilometers downstream. As stated in the problem, the trip upstream and back takes 12 hours. We must write then this equation: 48 over x minus 3 plus 48 over x plus 3 equals 12, where the excluded values of x are 3 and negative 3. We now identify the LCD, the first step in transforming a rational algebraic equation into a quadratic equation. The LCD of the expressions is the product of the denominators since they are both prime. Then, we multiply both sides of the equation by the LCD. By cross-cancellation, 48 over x minus 3 times the LCD binomial x plus 3 times binomial x minus 3 is equal to 48 times the binomial x plus 3 and 48 times the binomial x plus 3 times the LCD x plus 3 times binomial x minus 3 is equal to 48 times the binomial x minus 3. While 12 times the LCD can just be expressed as 12 multiplied by the binomials x plus 3 and x minus 3. The resulting equation is 48 times the binomial x plus 3 plus 48 times the binomial x minus 3 equals 12 times the binomial x minus 3 times the binomial x plus 3. This means that 48x plus 144 plus 48x minus 144 is equal to 12x squared minus 108. Writing the equation in standard form, it must be expressed as 12x squared minus 96x minus 108 equals 0. We can reduce the values of the coefficients a, b, and c in the equation since 12, negative 96, and negative 108 are all divisible by 12. So if we divide both sides of the equation by 12, we should get the equation x squared minus 8x minus 9 equals 0. And this can also be solved by factoring. X squared minus 8x minus 9 is equal to the product of the binomials x minus 9 and x plus 1. Hence, we have the equation binomial x minus 9 times binomial x plus 1 equals 0. Equating each factor to 0, we should get that the values of x are 9 and negative 1. Recall that we let x be the speed of the motorboat in still water that is expressed in kph or kilometers per hour. X must not be negative. Therefore, x is equal to 9. The speed of the motorboat in still water is 9 kph. Problem solved. Problem number 2. Maintaining the constant speed 12 miles per hour relative to the water, a motorboat makes a round trip on a river of 45 miles upstream and 45 miles downstream. The entire trip takes 8 hours. What is the speed of the current? Just like what we did in problem number 1, we will first identify the two directions or paths taken by the object. And these are, of course, upstream and downstream. Then, we record in the table the speed of the object as it travels in each direction. We must express it in terms of the speed of the current and the speed of this object in still water. The speed here is expressed in mph or miles per hour. This time, the speed of the current is the one unknown, and we let it be x. The speed of the motorboat in still water is given. As stated in the problem, it is 12 miles per hour. Hence, the speed of the motorboat when traveling upstream can be written as 12 minus x, while its speed when traveling downstream can be written as 12 plus x. Next, we record the distance it covers in each direction. In the problem, the motorboat makes a round trip. This means it goes upstream as far as it goes downstream. This distance is 45 miles. Since we are only given the total time the entire trip takes, we must express in terms of the recorded speed and distance the time it takes the motorboat to travel in each direction. We should be guided by this formula in computing for the time given speed and distance. 45 over 12 minus x represents the amount of time in hours it takes the motorboat to travel upstream, while 45 over 12 plus x represents the amount of time in hours it takes the motorboat to travel downstream. Now, we set up an equation. Since the round trip takes 8 hours, it means 45 over 12 minus x plus 45 over 12 plus x equals 8, where the excluded values of x are 12 and negative 12. We now determine the LCD. Both the denominators are prime, so the LCD is their product. We multiply both sides of the equation by the LCD. By cross cancellation, 45 over 12 minus x times the LCD expressed as the product of the binomials 12 minus x and 12 plus x is equal to 45 times the binomial 12 plus x. And 45 over 12 plus x times the LCD expressed as the product of 12 minus x and 12 plus x is equal to 45 times the binomial 12 minus x. While 8 times the LCD can just be expressed as 8 multiplied by the binomials 12 minus x and 12 plus x. This results to the equation 45 times the binomial 12 plus x plus 45 times the binomial 12 minus x equals 8 times binomial 12 minus x times binomial 12 plus x. This means that 540 plus 45x plus 540 minus 45x is equal to 1152 minus 8x squared. In standard form, this is written as 8x squared minus 72 equals 0. And this equation can be solved by extracting square root. We isolate the term with the variable by increasing both sides by 72. Hence, we have the equation 8x squared equals 72. We then divide both sides by 8, the coefficient in the quadratic term. The result is the equation x squared equals 9. Upon extracting square root, x must be equal to positive or negative square root of 9, and we must get that x is equal to positive or negative 3. Recall that we let x be the speed of the current in miles per hour. Thus, x can't be negative, so x must be 3. The speed of the current is 3 miles per hour. Problem solved! Kagamath, ready your pen and paper. Let's do this. It's Math the Moment. Let's answer the following questions. Number 1. If we let x be the speed of the boat in still water, what expression can be written for the motorboat's speed as it travels in each direction? Number 2. What is the distance covered by the motorboat in each direction? Number 3. What expression represents the amount of time in hours it takes the motorboat to travel in each direction? And number 4. What is the speed of the boat in still water? You have 3 minutes. Go! Time is up. The speed of the current is 5 kilometers per hour. However, the speed of the boat in still water is unknown, so we let this be x, which is also in kph. This means that the speed of the boat when traveling upstream could be written as x minus 5. When it travels downstream, its speed is written as x plus 5. We record that the upstream part is 8 kilometers long, while the downstream part is 12 kilometers. Now, we express the amount of time in hours it takes the motorboat to travel in each direction. We divide the indicated distance by the speed. So, the motorboat takes 8 over x minus 5 hours when heading upstream, while it takes the motorboat 12 over x plus 5 hours when traveling downstream. We now set up the equation. Since the entire trip takes 5 hours, this means that 8 over x minus 5 plus 12 over x plus 5 is equal to 5, where x cannot be positive or negative 5. The LCD is the product of the denominators, since they are both prime. We multiply both sides of the equation by this LCD. The resulting equation is 8 times the binomial x plus 5 plus 12 times the binomial x minus 5 equals 5 multiplied by x minus 5 and x plus 5. This means that 8x plus 40 plus 12x minus 60 equals 5x squared minus 125. Written in standard form, it should look like this: 5x squared minus 20x minus 105 equals 0. Dividing both sides of the equation by 5, we can reduce the coefficients so that the equation is now expressed as x squared minus 4x minus 21 equals 0. Expressed in the trinomial in factored form, the equation can be written as binomial x plus 3 times binomial x minus 7 equals 0. And equating each factor to 0, we should get that x is equal to negative 3 and to 7. Recall that x represents the speed of the boat in still water. X must not be negative, hence x equals 7. The speed of the boat in still water is 7 kilometers per hour. Problem solved! That has been another learning-packed episode. Let me end on this note. Practice makes perfect. And the more you practice, the greater the chance that you will become a master. Doesn't this sound great? See you in the next Mathathon, Kagamath! Bye!
Hi there! It's nice to be with you for another fun-filled day of learning. I hope you're having a wonderful time. And yeah, we're here with you again, Sir DJ and Dan, your English learning buddies. We will make sure that you will learn and we will enjoy our English lessons together. So make sure you have your pen and your paper with you, okay? Because once again, we will explore the powers of the English language. What are we waiting for? Let's get to it! What do you think of time travel? It's pretty cool, right? Just imagine, you will activate a state-of-the-art device, choose a specific date and time you want to go back to, and presto, you can go back in time. What are the things that you would change? What would you want to see? Would you want to take back what you said in the past? If you ask me, Dan and I would like to go back to the time of the dinosaurs and walk around with them. That would be crazy fun. What about you guys? What would you do? Oh, maybe you would want to take back what you said in the past. Sometimes we wish that we could have said something else. Like that time when you got mad at your friend and said something that hurt him or her. Or that day when you talked back rudely to your parents. Obviously, you can't take back the words you already said. If you hurt somebody with what you said, you can only apologize, but you can't undo the damage. As I have told you, our words can be very powerful. The tongue has no bone, but it is strong enough to break a heart. So, since time travel is technically impossible, we have to always be careful with what we are saying. This reminds me of a quote by Plato. He said, "Wise men speak because they have something to say. Fools because they have to say something." Now let's try to put our bright minds to a simple exercise. I will show you an outcome or a situation that took place as a result of something, and we will try to change that result by trying to alter what happened in the past. Try to investigate and try to give me a conditional sentence about the image. It's like imagining what would happen if a different decision was made in the past. Here's an example. They made her angry, that's why she left. How could we make the situation better? She wouldn't have left if they hadn't made her angry, am I right? In this situation, did you notice that her bag was tied to her chair? They pranked her. Maybe that's the reason why she got mad. The answer can be like this. If they hadn't tied her bag to the chair, she wouldn't have left. Did you get that? Okay, let's go and play Don't Be a Hater, Let's Make It Better. Here's my first situation. The boy was running because he was being chased by a dog. If the boy hadn't done something wrong, the dog wouldn't have chased him. Look closer. I think there's a stick over there. Maybe he poked him, or worse, hit the poor dog. That's nasty. Every act of violence committed against an animal is not a healthy sign. Animals should always be treated with love and respect. How society treats animals shows what that society is really made of. It is like humanity looking in the mirror and seeing what they are. So what can we say about this picture? If he had treated the dog better, they would have been good friends. Good one. Let's try another one. his head hurts, and that's why he decided to take some medication. Let's try to look at the picture. What may have caused his headache? Oh no, check out his phone. And look at the time. He must have been playing video games all night long. What can we say about this picture? If he had controlled his playing time, he wouldn't have had a headache. The excessive use of smartphones may cause headaches, decreased attention, shortness of temper, sleep disorders, and depression, mostly among teenagers. Radio waves are not the only reason for these symptoms. It is the sad reality that nowadays many people, especially the youth, experience a lack of human contact, and they try to compensate for it by mobile phone communication, which is not an adequate substitute for personal interaction. So always remember to moderate your gadget use. Too much of anything is not good. Let's take a look at our last image. She stumbled and they laughed at her. It is never nice to laugh at people who get hurt. That's just rude and disrespectful. If they hadn't laughed at her, she wouldn't have cried like that. Oh no. Take a look at her shoelaces. It's untied. She's carrying too much stuff as well. And worse, they made fun of her. Making fun of people in person or even online can be considered as a social attack. It can reduce a person's social standing and self-esteem. So you're basically destroying a person's image. Always remember to be respectful and considerate of other people's feelings. Going back to the image, if she had tied her shoelaces well, she wouldn't have stumbled. Or, if they had been nice, they would have helped her with her things. Were you able to come up with the conditional sentences? Great! Let's take a look at them again. If he had treated the dog better, they would have been good friends. If he had controlled his playing time, he wouldn't have had a headache. If she had tied her shoelaces well, she wouldn't have stumbled. What are the most common words in these statements? Correct! We have the word had and would have, and wouldn't have. And did you notice that our sentences talk about past actions and past results? We can't change what happened in the past, but we can actually create a sentence that shows an imaginary situation in the past that became the reason for an imaginary result, which is also in the past. How can we do that? We use the third conditional. Before that, as we always do, let's look back on what we've discussed in the previous episodes. We have talked about conditionals. These are statements expressing the result of a particular condition. So far, we have covered the first three conditional sentences. These are the zero, the first, and the second conditional. Can you remember what a zero conditional is? Correct! It is also called a factual conditional because it expresses truths and facts. What about the first conditional? Very good! The first conditional is also called a possible conditional since it is used in dealing with things that are likely to happen in the future. And in the last episode, we talked about the second conditional. Can you still remember what it is? Nice one! We use it in dealing with things that are impossible in the present and are unlikely to occur in the future. Unlikely to become real in the future, but not completely impossible. I'm amazed. I sure hope you'll always remember our lessons, okay? As promised, we'll talk about the last one. The last conditional is the third conditional. We use it in dealing with changes in the past scenario that would have led to a positive result. It talks about an unreal past, a past that did not happen. The third conditional tackles an imaginary situation in the past that causes an imaginary result which is also in the past. It's unreal. It is not true because we can't change the past. Sometimes we wish we could, but we can't. It's impossible. For example, if I had written my essay earlier, I would have submitted it on time. In our example, the if clause happened in the past, and the result clause is the outcome which also happened in the past. So, it somehow expresses regret. If I had slept enough, I wouldn't have been so sleepy at work. Clearly, the speaker did not get enough sleep. So, the outcome became bad for him. He was so sleepy at work. In writing the third conditional, we use the past perfect tense in the if clause, and for the result clause, we use would have plus the past participle of a verb. Just to remind us, the past perfect tense is formed by using had plus the past participle of verb. Had eaten, hadn't been, had left. Here are more third conditional examples. If she had called me, I would have come. But she didn't, so I was not able to come. If only I had told her the truth, she wouldn't have left. Ah, the feels. Lying is not a good thing, and it will never be, no matter how much we regret what we did in the past. Remember, tell a lie once and all your truths become questionable. We often use the third conditional to express regrets, describing things that happened or didn't happen that we are sorry for. For example, if my alarm had gone off, I wouldn't have been late for work. If there hadn't been so much traffic, we wouldn't have missed our flight. Regrets will always be there. Instead of dwelling on these, we should learn from them. After all, just like what Steve Maraboli said, we all make mistakes, have struggles, and even regret things in our past. But you are not your mistakes. You are not your struggles. And you are here now with the power to shape your day and your future. Let's have a short activity to put your knowledge about conditionals to a test. Let's play in one conditional. As I have mentioned before, we hear conditionals anywhere we go. Let's see if you can identify them. You will listen to a conversation between two friends, Lilia and Wilma. Try to write down the conditionals they used and identify them, whether they can be classified as zero, first, second, or third conditionals. I'll also be asking questions later. Are you ready? Let's go! Lilia and Wilma are friends. They are both busy doing some school stuff. But last Saturday, they met in a coffee shop.
Next Tuesday is a holiday. Have you made plans for that day?
I have a project to finish for my English class, but if I finish it by Monday night, I will be free to go somewhere the next day.
I hope that you'll get to finish your project on Monday night then, so we can do something together on Tuesday. Do you know that my favorite band is coming to the City Plaza this coming Tuesday? But I didn't have enough money to buy tickets. If only I had saved a little money from my last allowance, I would have bought a ticket.
Well, if I won the lottery, I would buy tickets for us. Maybe we can just accept Gia's invitation for her birthday party.
Alright, if my mom and I finish the chores in the morning, I can go with you to Gia's party.
That sounds great. Just let me know what time I can pick you up from your house.
Okay then, thanks!
Good job! Were you able to write down the conditionals? Great! Now here are my questions. Try to answer them. Here we go! Number 1. What does Wilma plan to do on Tuesday? That's correct. Wilma will be free on Tuesday once she finishes her project for her English class. That is why she suggested to accept Gia's invitation for her birthday party. Number 2. Why is Lilia regretful? That's right. When Lilia said, "If only I had saved a little money for my last allowance, I would have bought a ticket." She is regretful because she wasn't able to save enough money for a ticket to her favorite band. Number 3. What might Wilma do if she had won the lottery? Correct again. If Wilma won the lottery, she would buy tickets for both of them. You're doing good so far. Let's try the next one. Number 4. What do you think is the reason why Wilma laughed when she said it? You nailed it! She laughed because she knew to herself that winning the lottery is very unlikely to happen. Keep it up! Let's try the last one. Number 5. How sure is Lilia that she can go with Wilma on Tuesday? Yes, that's it. Her answer depends on a certain condition. She can go to Gia's party once she and her mom finish the chores in the morning. Just like Lilia, we should also help our parents in doing the household chores before going out with our friends. Being helpful to our family is one of the many unique traits of us Filipinos. It is a clear sign that we love our family. Let's keep the love burning, because family is where life begins and love never ends. You did very well in our lesson today. Keep it up, and I'm sure you'll be really good in using the English language very soon. Don't forget to practice your conditionals, okay? We will be using those skills in our next class. And that ends our episode today. That's awesome! Thank you for keeping up. I hope you had a smashing time with us, your English learning buddies, Sir DJ and Dan. Stay tuned because in the next episode, I will introduce you to someone special. Exciting, huh? So keep safe, guys, and see you in the next one. Remember, never stop learning because life never stops teaching. Peace out!
Tara na at ating lakbayin ang ganda ng kultura at panitikan sa Asya. Sama-sama nating tuklasin ang hiwaga ng ating sariling wika. Huwag kang mag-alala, sagot kita. Kaya't ihanda na ang iyong lapis, papel at self-learning module sa Filipino 9. Ako si Sir Kaloy, ang teacher for Pinoy na kabarkada mo na, kalakbay mo pa. Dito lang sa Filipino 9. Panitikang Asyano. Ang nakaraan sa Panitikang Asyano. Nalakbay natin ang ganda at hiwaga ng kultura ng ating sariling bansang Pilipinas. Nakilala natin ang mga mahuhusay na makatang Filipino na mas nagpayabong pa sa panitikan ng ating bansa. Nabasa at napakinggan natin sa tulong namin ni Sir Jamil ang tulang isinulat ng makatang si Jose Corazon de Jesus na pinamagatang Ang Punong Kahoy at pagpapahalaga sa mga pagkakataon. Hindi lang yan, nalaman din natin ang kahalagahan ng paggamit ng tayutay. Tukuyin natin ang mga tayutay at pananalinhagang ginamit sa tulang ating tinalakay. Magbibigay ako ng 5 halimbawa. Sa unang saknong, ako'y tila isang nakadipang krus. Anong tayutay ang ginamit? Tama, simile o pagtutulad. Sa ikalawang saknong naman, organong sa loob ng isang simbahan ay nananalangin sa kapighatian. Anong tayutay ang ginamit? Magaling! Personifikasyon o pagsasatao. Tumungo tayo sa ikatlong saknong. Ito ang bahagi ng tula. Sa aking paanan ay may isang batis, maghapot magdamag na nagtutumangis. Ano ang tayutay na ginamit? Muli, ito ay personifikasyon o pagsasatao. Ngayon, tumungo tayo sa ikapitong saknong. Wala na. Ang gabi ay lambong na luksa. Panakip sa aking namumutlang mukha. Ano ang tayutay na ginamit? Paglilipat sa klaw o sinekduki. Magaling! Ngayon sa ikawalong saknong. Isang kahoy akong malagot malabay. Pagwawangis o metaphor. Tumungo tayo sa ikalawang bilang ng iyong takdang aralin. Ilarawan ang personang ginamit sa ating tula. Unang panauhan ang ginamit ng ating makata. Dahil ipinahahayag niya ang kanyang sariling damdamin at kalagayan. Mahihinuha natin na ang nagsasalita sa tula ay isang matanda at namamaalam na. Inilalarawan nito ang isang taong naghihinagpis para sa kanyang buhay at paghahambing ng punong kahoy sa buhay ng tao. Magaling! Handa ka na ba sa panibago nating talakayan? Oh, kumusta kalakbay? May nais akong ipakita sa'yo. Nakikita mo bang mga ibon na yan? Kay ganda nilang pagmasdan, ano? Paano mo sila ilalarawan? Malaya? At masaya? Pangarap mo rin bang maging malaya at masaya? Katulad ng mga batang ito? Lahat naman tayo ay pangarap na maging malaya o kaya'y masaya. Yung bang nagagawa mo lahat ng bagay na gustuin mo, walang pumipigil sa'yo. Yun nga lang, kapag ikaw ay bumagsak o nahulog sa maling tao, sa maling lugar pala, ay masasaktan ka. Kaya naman kalakbay, dahil sa ikaw ay kalakbay, tutuntunin natin kung paano mo makakamit ang tunay na kalayaan at kasiyahan. Ngunit, bago yan, noong tayo'y mga bata pa, Upang maramdaman natin ang ganap na kasiyahan o kaya'y kalayaan, tayo ay naglalaro. Ikaw, anong madalas mong laruin nung ikaw ay bata pa? Maaaring ito'y sipa, piko, o di kaya'y patintero. Maaari din namang mga online games tulad ng Kabal o kaya naman ay Mobile Legends. Nais kong isulat mo sa iyong kwaderno ang sagot sa katanungang ito. Bibigyan kita ng 30 segundo. 1, 2, ratsada! Oh, kalakbay! Tapos ka na? Talaga namang lodi kita eh. Sa pagkakataong ito naman, ako ang magbabahagi ng larong nagpapasaya sa akin nung bata ko. Panoorin mo ang videong ito. Ano ang pinalilipad ng mga bata? Sagot? Tama ka, kalakbay! Saranggola! Ito yung laruan na gawa sa mga makukulay na papel, nilalagyan ng tali at pinatitibay ng mga kahoy o kaya ng mga stick at paliliparin sa himpapawid. Tara, samahan mo ako sa paggawa ng saranggola. Pero alam mo ba na ang salitang saranggola sa Filipino ay meron pang ibang katawagan. Mas malalim nga lang, kaya hindi natin masyadong ginagamit. Ano yon? Guryon. Sa ibang katawagan, saranggola. Hayan, tapos na ang ating guryon. Paliparin natin. Ating nakaraang talakayan ay napakinggan natin ng isang tula na naglalaman kung paano inhalin tulad ng isang makata ang kanyang sarili sa isang punong kahoy. Sa pagkakataong ito naman ay mapakikinggan natin ang panibagong akda na naglalaman kung paano binigyang payo ng isang magulang ang kanyang anak sa pamamagitan ng guryon o saranggola. Tara, sabay-sabay nating basahin ang akdang pinamagatang Ang Guryon. Katulad ng ang punong kahoy, ang tulang ito ay isa ring tulang liriko o pandamdamin na nagmula rin sa ating sariling bansa, ang kinikilalang perlas ng silanganan, Pilipinas. Ito ay isinulat ng makata na si Ildefonso S. Santos, ipinanganak sa Baritan, Malabon. At sinong mag-aakala na ang katulad niya ay ama pala ng isa sa mga kinikilalang alagad ng sining pagdating sa larangan ng arkitektura na si Ildefonso P. Santos Jr. Ang galing, hindi ba? Ilan sa mga tulang kanyang isinulat ay ang Tatlong Inakay, Gabi, Sa Tabi ng Dagat, Ang Ulap at Mangingisda, at syempre, Ang Guryon. Ayan, malapit na nating basahin ang tulang Ang Guryon. At upang mas maunawaan natin kung ano ang nilalaman ng tula, samahan mo akong bigyang kahulugan ang mga sumusunod na salita. Huwag kang mag-alala. Sagot kita! Kaya ano pang hinihintay mo? Tara na! Nais kong tulungan mo akong mabuo ang larawang ito sa pamamagitan ng pagpili ng mga tamang kahulugan sa mga sumusunod na salitang nakatabing sa bawat piraso ng larawan. Tara, kalakbay! Simulan na! Unang salita. Solot, paulo. Alin sa mga ito ang kasing kahulugan ng salitang solot, paulo? Hugis at tali. Tumpak, tama ka. Ito ay tumutukoy sa disenyo at pagkakagawa sa isang likhang sining. Maaari mo bang gamitin sa pangungusap ang salitang solot, paulo? Halimbawa, napakaganda ng ideyang kanyang naisip para sa solot paulo ng eroplanong papel. Ikaw naman. Ikalawang salita. Ikit. Libot pabilog? Muli ay tama ka. Ito ay aksyon upang libutin pabilog ang isang lugar o bagay sa pamamagitan ng pag-ikot. Ngayon ay gamitin natin sa pangungusap ang salitang ikit. Halimbawa nito, sa patuloy na pag-ikit ng mundo ay lumilipas ang panahon. Kaya mo ba? Dumako naman tayo sa ikatlong salita. Magkiling. Ang iyong sagot ay tumabingi. Ibang klase. Tama ka na naman. Maaari rin itong pumahilis o tumagilid. Ngayon, gamitin natin ang salitang magkiling sa pangungusap. Halimbawa, kailangang ilagay sa gitna ng larawan ang sabitan upang di ito magkiling. Ikaw naman. At ang huling salita ay mapapabuyo. Anong salita ang kasing kahulugan nito? Mapapasabak? Ang mas tumpak na sagot dito, kalakbay, ay mahimok dahil ang salitang ugat ng mapapabuyo ay buyo na ang ibig sabihin ay ganyak o akit. Kaya mo bang gamitin ang salitang mapapabuyo sa pangungusap? Halimbawa, huwag kang mapapabuyong gumawa ng masama upang di ka mapahamak. O, ikaw naman. O hayan, nabuo na natin ang ating larawan. Ito pala ay nagpapakita ng isang ama at anak na nagpapalipad ng saranggola o guryon. Ang galing mo talaga, kalakbay! O hayan na, 4 na salita na naman ang dumagdag sa iyong bukabularyo. Solot paulo, ikit, magkiling, mapapabuyo. Naniniwala ka ba na ang tao, kahit gaano ito kasaya o kalaya, ay di nito maiiwasan ang pagkakaroon ng mga suliranin o pagsubok sa buhay? Tara't ating tahakin ng landas kung paano hinubog ng isang ama ang kanyang anak sa pamamagitan ng saranggola o guryon. Tara't magtungo sa 19 na pahina ng iyong self-learning module. Ang guryon sa panulat ni Ildefonso Santos. Tanggapin mo, anak, itong munting guryon, nayari sa patpat at papel de hapon. Magandang laruan, pula, puti, asul, na may pangalan mong sa gitna naroon. Ang hiling ko lamang, bago paliparin, ang guryon mong ito ay pakatimbangin. Ang sulot pauloy sukating magaling, nang hindi mag-ikit o kaya'y magkiling. Saka pag umihip ang hangin, ilabas at sa papawiri bayaang lumipad. Datapwat ang pisi tibayan mo, anak, at baka lagutin ng hanging malakas. Ibigin mat hindi, balang araw, ikaw ay mapapabuyong makipagdagitan. Makipaglaban ka, subalit tandaan na ang nagwawagi ang pusong marangal. At kung ang guryon mo'y sakaling madaig, matangay ng iba o kaya'y mapatid. Kung sakasakaling di na mapabalik, maawaing kamay nawa ang magkamit. Ang buhay ay guryon, marupok, malikot, dagiti dumagit saan man sumuot. O paliparin mo't ihalik sa Diyos, bago pa tuluyang sa lupay sumubsob. Ang tulang angguryon ay may 12 sukat sa bawat taludtod, may tugma at may 6 na saknong. Ang nagsisilbing tagapagsalaysay sa tula ay ang magulang ng isang bata na pinapangaralan tungkol sa guryon, na katulad ito ng buhay ng tao. Ang tuon ng akdang ito ay ang teoryang imahismo, sa kadahilanang ginamit ang imahen ng guryon upang humalili sa buhay ng tao. Madaling mahihinuha ang kahalagahan ng imaheng ginamit. Napakadaling maintindihan ng tula dahil ginamitan lamang ito ng mga simpleng salita na karaniwang naririnig ngunit may malalim palang kahulugan. Tumutukoy sa buhay ng tao ang guryon at ang pisi ay nagsisilbing pangarap ng tao na gustong maging tunay na malaya at masaya. At yan ang kahulugan ng ating tulang, ang guryon. Ayan, malapit na tayong tumungo sa ating huling gawain. Ngunit bago yan, sasagutan natin ang ilan sa mga katanungan sa bahaging tayahin. Magtungo tayo sa 16 na pahina ng iyong self-learning module. Unang tanong. Ang sulot paulo sa 2 saknong ng tula ay sumisimbolo sa A. Sukat, B. Timbang ng tao, C. Desisyon sa buhay, D. Hugis at tali. Kung ang iyong sagot ay titik D, hugis at tali, aba kalakbay, tama ka. Ikalawang tanong. Saka pag umihip ang hangin, ilabas at sa papawiri bayaang lumipad. Datapwat ang pisi tibayan mo anak at baka lagutin ng hanging malakas. Ano ang sinisimbolo ng hangin sa saknong? A. Pagsubok sa buhay, B. Hanging amihan at habagat, C. Hanging dala ng mga bagyo, o D. Mga taong sagabal sa pagpapalipad. Kung ang iyong sagot ay titik A, muli ay tama ka. Ikatlong tanong. Ang may akda ng tulang Ang Guryon ay si A. Ildefonso Santos, B. Jose Rizal, C. Pat Villafuerte, o D. Jose Corazon de Jesus. Ang iyong sagot ay titik A? Walang duda, tama ka. Ika-4 na tanong. Sa huling saknong ng tula, binibigyang diin ng sumulat ang A. Kahalagahan sa paglalarawan ng matatag na paniniwala sa Diyos, B. Kailangang higpitan ang hawak sa guryon, C. Hayaang lumipad ang guryon sa pinakamataas, o D. Laging subaybayan kung saan magsuot ang guryon. Kung ang iyong sagot ay titik A, isa ka ngang lodi, alamat ka. Ika-5 tanong. Bakit kailangang may gabay ang magulang sa pagpapalaki ng kanilang mga anak tulad ng ang guryon? A. Ang pagmamalasakit ng magulang sa anak ay tanda ng pagmamahal. B. Ang pagmamalasakit ng magulang ay upang maabot ng mga anak ang pangarap sa buhay. C. Nais ng mga magulang na maging masaya at maganda ang buhay ng mga anak. O letter D. Lahat ng nabanggit. Ano sa iyong palagay ang tamang sagot? Siyempre, titik D. Magaling. Ika-6 na tanong. Sino ang nagsisilbing tagapagsalaysay sa tulang Ang Guryon? A. Magulang ng isang bata, B. Magulang na may malasakit sa kaniyang anak, C. Magulang na hindi kapiling ang anak, o letter D. Magulang na nagsusustento sa anak. Ang tamang sagot ay titik B. Kung iyan ang iyong sagot, magaling kang talaga. Ikapitong tanong. Anong aral ang makikita sa tulang Angguryon? A. Maging matatag sa buhay sa anumang mga pagsubok. B. Mula sa Bibliang Santiago, ika-4 at 6. Ang mapagpakumbaba ay kinalulugdan ng Diyos, kaya huwag magmataas. C. Kahit malayo na ang lipad, huwag kalimutang magpasalamat at manalig sa may kapal. O D. A, B at C ay tama. Ang sagot mo muli ay titik D. Hindi ka nagkakamali. Lahat ng nabanggit ay tumpak. Ikawalong tanong. Ano ang ibig sabihin ng salitang guryon? A. Eroplanong papel. B. Saranggola. C. Papel de hapon. O letter D. Pangarap. Ang tamang sagot ay titik B. Saranggola. Ikasyam na tanong. Anong klaseng buhay ang binanggit sa tulang Angguryon? A. Lumalaban at nagwawagi. B. Lumilipad at matatag. C. Manipis at matayog. D. Marupok at malikot. Ang tumpak na sagot ay titik D. Yung mga marurupok at malilikot dyan, huwag pasaway. Huling tanong. Alamin ang tamang sukat sa bahagi ng tula. Saka pag umihip ang hangin, ilabas, at sa papawiri bayaang lumipad. Datapwat ang pisi tibayan mo, anak, at baka lagutin ng hanging malalakas. A. 8. B. 12. C. 16. D. 18. Yan ay nabanggit ko na rin kanina. Ang tamang sagot, syempre, ay titik B. 12. Ibang klase ang galing mo, kalakbay. Ngayon naman ay susukatin natin ang iyong pagiging malikhain sa pamamagitan ng mga sumusunod na gawain. Buksan mo ang iyong self-learning module sa 18 pahina. Pumili ka ng 2 saknong mula sa tulang Angguryon na nasa kabilang pahina. Ito ay bibigyan mo ng interpretasyon sa pamamagitan ng awitin, ng madamdaming pagbigkas, o di kaya ng pagsayaw. Maaari mong isulat ang iyong mga napiling saknong sa kaliwang guryon at ang iyong interpretasyon sa kanan. Maaari kang gumawa ng iyong mga video presentations o kaya naman ng mga images o photo at maaari itong i-post sa iyong mga social media account. Gumamit ka ng mga hashtag tulad ng hashtag Angguryon, hashtag Panitikang Asyano at hashtag Handang Isip, Handang Bukas. Galingan mo, kalakbay! Narito ang ilan sa mga obra ng ating magagaling na kalakbay mula sa grade 9. Maaari mo itong gawing halimbawa.
Ang guryon. Tanggapin mo, anak, itong munting guryon na yari sa patpat at papel di hapon. Magandang laruan, pula, puti, asul, na may pangalan mong sa gitna naroon. Ang hiling ko lamang, bago paliparin, ang guryon mong ito'y paka timbangin. Ang sulot pa ulo ay sukating magaling nang hindi mag-ikit o kaya'y magkiling.
Ang buhay ay guryon, marupok, malikot, dagiti tumagi, saan man sumuot. O, piliparin mo't ihalik sa Diyos, sumupso.
Ang guhit na ito ay aking interpretasyon sa ikatlo at ikaapat na sakno na ang Goryon. Kung inyong makikita, ang aking ginuhit ay tungkol sa ang Goryon. Ay isang ibon dahil para sa akin, ang Goryon ay parang isang ibon. Mataas ang lipad at ang malakas na hangin ay maaaring maging sagabal sa kanyang paglipad. At imposible naman marating niya agad ang kanyang ninanais na destinasyon. Kung gaya't makikita niyong isang panangga sa may bandang tiyan, ay nagsisilbi itong panangga sa anumang sakuna na darating at kanyang harapin.
Katulad ng isang goryon, tayo ay kinakailangang magpatuloy na lumipad patungo sa ating mga pangarap. Ano man ang bagyong dumating, ay dapat nating kaharapin. Tatagan ang ating loob at magpatuloy sa buhay. Dahil yan ang tunay na makapagpapasaya at makapagpapalaya sa atin. Dahil ang taong may pangarap, kapag nagsikap, tagumpay ang nalalasap. At dyan nagtatapos ang ating aralin sa Filipino 9 sa araw na ito. Muli, ako si Teacher Carlo, ang Teacher Forinoy na kalakbay mo na, kabarkada mo pa, dito lang sa Panitikang Asano. Huwag kang aalis dahil magbabalik pa ang DepEd TV. #handang isip, #handang bukas.
There will be no face-to-face classes.
We will be using our own teachers as broadcasters in this TV program.
Huwag kang mag-alala.
Good morning, everyone. Are you ready?
Kumusta sa ating mga mahal na mag-aaral at mga magulang? Hindi madali ang lahat, pero patuloy po tayong magdasal para sa ikabubuti ng lahat. Ako ang inyong guro sa Araling Panlipunan 9. Ako si Ma'am Biway, ang inyong kaagapay sa buhay. Handa na ba kayo sa mga leksyon sa Araling Panlipunan 9? Tara na! Collab na tayo para matuto sa Eco.
MIKS, kalagayan ng bansa'y ating aaralin. Ekono MIKS, pangangailangan at supply ating tuklasin. Halina't sumabay, huwag kang sasablay ng kabuhayan mo'y hindi tumamlay. Makinig magmatsyag, tara na, it's Eco Day every day. It's Eco Day every day. It's Eco Day every day.
Para sa balitang Econo MY ni Ma'am DY, ayon sa Department of Agriculture o DA, hinihikayat nito ang mga provincial local government units at pribadong sektor na direktang bumili ng palay sa ating mga lokal na magsasaka upang mapataas ang presyo ng palay. Ang balitang ito ay nagpapakita na ang ating bansa ay nasa ilalim ng mixed economy. Magkasanib puwersa sa pagtaguyod ng ekonomiya ang pribadong sektor at pamahalaan. #support our local farmers. There isn't enough to go around, ayon kay John Watson Howe. Ayon sa kanya, may limitasyon ng mga pinagkukunang yaman kaya't hindi ito sasapat sa pangangailangan ng tao. Kung kaya't ang sistemang pang-ekonomiya na ginagamit ng bawat bansa ay mahalaga. Mithiin ng bawat sistemang pang-ekonomiya na makaagapay ang lipunan sa mga suliranin ng kakapusan at kung paano empisyenteng magagamit ang pinagkukunang yaman ng bansa upang makamit ng tao ang pinakamataas na kasiyahan at kapakinabangan mula rito. Bawat lipunan ay may sinusunod na sistemang pang-ekonomiya upang matugunan ang mga suliraning nakapaloob sa produksyon at alokasyon ng mga produkto at serbisyo. Balikan natin ang mga sistemang pang-ekonomiya na ating napag-usapan sa nakaraang aralin. Econ Remember! Subukin mong tukuyin ang mga paglalarawan sa mga sistemang pang-ekonomiya gamit ang mga icons. Handa na ba kayo? Mayroon kayong 5 segundo sa bawat bilang. Unang bilang. Presyo ang nagtatakda kung gaano karami ang bibilhin ng mga mamimili at kung gaano rin karami ang malilikhang produkto at serbisyo. Napili mo ba ay market economy? Tama! Ikalawang bilang. Ang sistematikong pang-ekonomiko batay sa puwersa ng pamilihan. Ang sagot mo ba ay market economy? Mahusay! Ikatlong bilang. Ang ekonomiya ay nasa ilalim ng komprehensibong kontrol at regulasyon ng pamahalaan. Ito ba ang sagot mo? Command economy? Magaling! Ika-4 na bilang. Ang produkto at serbisyong gagawin ay nakabatay sa tradisyon, kultura at paniniwala. Napili mo ba ang traditional economy? Ayos! Ika-5 bilang. May malayang kalakalan at may pakikialam ang pamahalaan. Ang sagot mo ba ay mixed economy? Mahusay! Ika-6 na bilang, ang pangangailangan ng tao ay umiikot lamang sa pangunahing pangangailangan tulad ng damit, pagkain, at bahay. Ito ba ang sagot mo? Traditional economy? Magaling! Ika-7 bilang, tinutukoy rin ng pamahalaan ang mga gagamiting pinagkukunang yaman sa paglikha ng kapital. Ito ba ang sagot mo? Command economy? Magaling! Ika-8 bilang, alinsunod sa pansariling interes ng nagtitinda at mamimili? Napili mo ba ay market economy? Tama! Ika-9 na bilang, pinagsanib ang market at command economy. Ang sagot mo ba ay mixed economy? Mahusay! Ika-10 bilang, ang lakas paggawa ay maaaring makapamili ng kanilang nais na papasukang trabaho. Ang sagot mo ba ay market economy? Mahusay! Ngayon naman ay alamin natin kung ang mga sistemang pang-ekonomiya na tradisyonal, market, command, at mixed economy ay mayroon pa rin ngayon sa iba't ibang bansa. Bilang gabay sa ating paglalakbay, nais kong sagutin mo ang data retrieval na ito. Sistemang pang-ekonomiko, traditional economy, market economy, command economy, mixed economy. Mga bansa, handa na ba kayo? Noong unang panahon, nanguhuli ng isda gamit ang sibat, nangangaso at nagtatanim. Payak lang ang kanilang pamumuhay. Hindi magara ang kasuotan, balat ng hayop, dahon pa nga ang ilan. May palamuti pa ng mga ngipin o buto ng napatay na hayop sa pangangaso. Kung kailangan nilang pagkain, pwede silang magtanim. Dati, basta matugunan nila ang kanilang pangunahing pangangailangan, ayos na. Yan ang traditional economy. Nakabatay lamang sa tradisyon, kultura at kinagisnang pamumuhay ang pagtugon ng mga tribo, clan o kinship sa kanilang pangunahing pangangailangan na pagkain, damit at bahay. Eco-learnings, dagdag kaalaman. Sa kasalukuyan, ang mga natitirang tribo o indigenous people sa malalayong pook na lamang ang gumagawa nito, tulad ng Inuit ng Arctic region, Aborigines ng Australia, Bushmen sa Katimugang Africa, tribong Yanomami sa Brazil. Mula sa mga primitibong pamumuhay na ito, unti-unting nagkaroon ng sibilisasyon sa mga syudad. Kaakibat ng paglago ng mga ito, ang tahimik na mga bayan ay sinakop ng mga barbaro o mananakop, mga nomadikong tribo. Sa pangyayaring ito, ang mga panustos ay kinulang at naghirap ang pamumuhay. Hanggang ang kasaysayan ay pinangunahan ng mga Panginoong Pyudal. Ang sistemang Pyudalismo ay ang pamamalakad ng lupain na kung saan ang lupang pag-aari ng Panginoon o may-ari ng lupa ay ipinasasaka sa mga nasasakupang tauhan na may katungkulang maglingkod at maging tapat sa Panginoong may-ari. Isa itong sentralisadong pamahalaan kung saan isinusuko ng basalyo o taong alipin ang kanyang lupa sa isang Panginoon. Hindi naglaon ay umusbong ang mga bayan at lungsod sa Europa, sa Italia, Pransya. Nakilala ang guild system bilang kapisanan. Ito ay isang uri ng samahan, samahang damayan o unyon. Ito ay maaaring tumutukoy bilang isang nilikha ng isip na entidad na kumakatawan sa isang organisasyon na nakasulat sa malalaking mga titik na nakarehistro sa pamahalaan. upang umiral na makipagkalakalan sa mundo ng komersyo katulad ng isang korporasyon, pundasyon o panaligan. Trust kung tawagin sa Ingles. Ang isang tao, subalit hindi isang individual. Maaari rin itong tawagin katumbas ng asosasyon o pamayanan na tinatawag sa Ingles bilang society, club o assemblage sa diwa ng pagiging isang samahan, kapisanan o katawan na binubuo ng mga kasapi. Eco Learnings! Dagdag kaalaman! Sa sistemang guild ay naipakilala na ang market economy ng mga mangangalakal na naging malayang pamilihan ang daanan ng Europa. Kakikitaan ito ng interes ng mga producer na nagtatatag ng mga guild o samahan. Sa kasalukuyang panahon, kahit maraming bansa ang nagsasabing sila ay market economy, hindi maiiwasang nakikialam na ang kanilang pamahalaan. Nakilala na rin sa lipunan ang mga burgis o mga taong nasa middle class na may sariling kapital na ekonomikal at kultural at mga pag-aari. Sa panahon na naglabasan na ang mga philosopher, ipinakilala nila ang bagong pananaw, lalo na si Adam Smith. At siya ay nagsulat ng Wealth of Nations. Ito ay nagpapakita na ang mga mahirap ay lalong naghirap hanggang sa nagkaroon ng communism o command economy, kaso nakita nila na walang social mobility o paggalaw sa buhay ang mga tao. Hanggang sa magkaroon na ng sosyalismo, ang mga tao ay nakikipag-interact na sa iba't ibang lugar. Minsang naging sakim sa kapangyarihan, pero hindi tumigil ang mga tao na lumaya na sila sa pakikipagkalakalan. At ang global interdependence ay isang sitwasyon na lahat ay nagbubunyi. Ngayon, natatamasa natin ang malayang kalakalan at pinahihintulutan na ng gobyerno ang malayang transaksyon ng producer o mamimili. Sa kasalukuyan, ang mga bansang gumagamit ng mixed economy ay US, Pransya, South Korea, at Pilipinas. Narito na ang pagkabuo ng data retrieval. Natatandaan mo ba ang mga sagot? Mga sagot. Traditional. Inuit ng Arctic region. Aborigines ng Australia. Bushmen ng Africa. Yanomami sa Brazil. Market economy. Wala. Command economy. Soviet Union o USSR noon. North Korea. Mixed economy. US, Pransya, South Korea, at Pilipinas. Sa loob ng 10 segundo, sagutin ang mga sumusunod na tanong sa comics.
Ano ba ang katangian ng traditional economy?
Sa traditional economy, ang anumang produkto na kanilang malilikha ay pamamahagi ayon sa kanilang pangangailangan at kung sino pa ang dapat gumamit.
Paano mo ilarawan ang market economy?
Sa market economy, ang kalahok, consumer at producer ay kumikilos alinsunod sa pansariling interes na makakuha ng malaking pakinabang.
Ano ang kaibahan ng command economy sa mixed economy?
Sa command economy, nasa komprehensibong kontrol at regulasyon ng pamahalaan ang planong nauukol sa pagsulong ng ekonomiya. Ngayon naman, subukin natin ang galing mo. Bawat bilang ay may 5 segundo para sagutin. Una, piliin sa mga sumusunod ang tamang paraan ng pagpapasya ng market economy. A. Nakabatay sa tradisyon, kultura at paniniwala. B. Ang pamahalaan ang may ganap na kapangyarihan upang makamit ang mga layuning pang-ekonomiya. C. Hinahayaan ang pamilihan, subalit maaaring manghimasok ang pamahalaan. D. Alinsunod sa pansariling interes ng nagtitinda at mamimili. Kung ang sagot mo ay D, alinsunod sa pansariling interes na nagtitinda at mamimili, magaling! Pangalawa, papaano mo gagampanan ang iyong tungkulin bilang kasapi ng pangkat kung ikaw ay kabilang sa market economy? A. Wala sapagkat ang katungkulan ko sa ekonomiya nagmumula sa pamahalaan batay sa plano. B. Malaya akong makakakilos ayon sa sariling kagustuhan o interes nang hindi pinakikialaman ng pamahalaan. C. Tulong-tulong sa pagsasagawa ng mga gawain at sa pakikinabang sa pinagkukunang yaman. D. Malaya ang mamamayan subalit ang pamahalaan ay may kontrol pa rin sa ilang mga gawain. Kung ang sagot mo ay B, mahusay. Pangatlo, sa command economy, ang ekonomiya ay nasa ilalim ng komprehensibong kontrol at regulasyon ng A. Consumer, B. Pamahalaan, C. Pamilihan, D. Producer. Ang napili mo bang sagot ay B. Pamahalaan? Ayos! Ika-4. Sa market economy, ito ang nagtatakda kung gaano karami ang bibilhin ng mga mamimili at kung gaano rin karami ang malilikhang produkto at serbisyo ng mga producer. A. Likas yaman, B. Pamahalaan, C. Presyo, D. Producer. Ito ba ang napili mo? C. Presyo. Galing! Ika-5, alin sa mga sumusunod ang mithiin ng bawat sistemang pang-ekonomiya? A. Upang mas mapalawig ang kitang pang-ekonomiya ng ating bansa. B. Upang makamit ang pinakamataas na kasiyahan at kapakinabangan mula rito. C. Upang makaagapay ang lipunan sa mga suliranin at kung paanong epesyenteng magagamit ang pinagkukunang yaman ng bansa. D. Upang matugunan ang walang katapusang pangangailangan at kagustuhan ng tao. Ang sagot mo ba ay B? Upang makamit ang pinakamataas na kasiyahan at kapakinabangan mula rito? Magaling! Ika-6, ang sistemang pang-ekonomiko ay sumasagot sa 4 na pangunahing tanong. Alin sa mga sumusunod ang kasagutan ng traditional economy sa katanungang ano-anong produkto at serbisyo ang gagawin? A. Ang produkto at serbisyong gagawin ay nakabatay sa puwersa ng pamilihan. B. Ang produkto at serbisyong gagawin ay nakabatay sa utos ng pamahalaan. C. Ang produkto at serbisyong gagawin ay nakabatay sa tradisyon, kultura at paniniwala. D. Ang produkto at serbisyong gagawin ay nakabatay sa puwersa ng pamilihan at pamahalaan. Ang napili mo bang sagot ay C. Ang produkto at serbisyong gagawin ay nakabatay sa tradisyon, kultura at paniniwala? Ayos! Ika-7, bakit kailangang isaalang-alang ang paggamit at paglinang ng lahat ng pinagkukunang yaman ng bansa? A. Upang makamit ng tao ang pinakamataas na antas ng kasiyahan at kapakinabangan mula rito. B. Upang mas lumaki ang kita ng ekonomiya ng ating bansa at ng mamamayan nito. C. Mas mapalawig ang yamang likas ng isang bansa na kagaya ng ating bansa. D. Nararapat itong bigyang pansin dahil sa katotohanang may kakapusan na umiiral. Ito ba ang napili mo? Letter D. Nararapat itong bigyan pansin dahil sa katotohanang may kakapusan na umiiral. Magaling! Ikawalo, sa iba't ibang sistemang pang-ekonomiya na umiiral sa mundo, anong katangian na nakakapagbukod-tangi sa sistemang mixed economy na siyang dahilan upang ito ang ginagamit ng mas nakararaming bansa? A. Ang pagkontrol ay alinsunod sa komprehensibong kontrol at regulasyon ng pamahalaan. B. Ang anumang produkto na kanilang nililikha ay ipamamahagi ayon sa kanilang pangangailangan at kung sino ang dapat gumamit. C. Nagpapahintulot sa pribadong pagmamay-ari ng kapital. Pakikipag-ugnayan sa pamamagitan ng presyo at pangangasiwa ng gawain. D. Hinahayaan dito ang malayang pagkilos ng pamilihan subalit maaaring manghimasok o makialam ang pamahalaan sa mga usaping nauukol sa pangangalaga ng kalikasan, katarungang panlipunan at pagmamay-ari ng Estado. Ang sagot mo ba ay D? Tama! Hinahayaan dito ang malayang pagkilos ng pamilihan, subalit maaaring manghimasok o makialam ang pamahalaan sa mga usaping nauukol sa pangangalaga ng kalikasan, katarungang panlipunan at pagmamay-ari ng Estado. Ika-9. Ang sistemang pang-ekonomikong ito ay sumasagot sa unang katanungang pang-ekonomiko batay sa puwersa ng pamilihan. A. Traditional economy. B. Market economy. C. Command economy. D. Mixed economy. Ang sagot mo ba ay B. Market economy? Magaling! Ika-10. Alin sa mga sumusunod ang may pinakawastong interpretasyon sa kasabihang "There isn't enough to go around" ni John Watson Howe? A. May limitasyon ang mga pinagkukunang yaman, kaya't hindi ito sasapat sa pangangailangan ng tao. B. Ang walang pakundangan na paggamit ng pinagkukunang yaman ay hahantong sa kakapusan. C. Walang hanggan ang pangangailangan ng tao, gayon din ang mga pinagkukunang yaman. D. May hangganan ng halos lahat ng pinagkukunang yaman sa daigdig. Ang napili mo bang sagot ay A. May limitasyon ng mga pinagkukunang yaman, kaya't hindi ito sasapat sa pangangailangan ng tao? Ayos! Takdang aralin. Isulat sa kwaderno. Bigyang kahulugan ang sumusunod: input, output, produksyon. Sa pagtatapos ng araw na ito, magaling at napagtagumpayan mo na ang Module 3. Nawa ay kinapulutan mo ito ng aral. May paalala lamang ako. Walang tapon sa eko. Mayaman o mahirap, sigurado. Sa economics, ang buhay mo ay planado. Basta isa buhay lamang ito. O huwag kayong mawawala sa susunod nating aralin at huwag kalimutang ipagdasal ang ating buong mundo mula sa pandemyang ito. Kita-kits muli mga anak, dito lamang sa DepEd TV. Ingat!
Hi, good day. Welcome in today's episode of DepEd TV. I am Sir Jason Flores Oso, your math buddy, and I will be here to help you in developing your logical reasoning and critical thinking skills. Is your self-learning module ready? What about your pen and paper? Great! Let's begin a fun and exciting lesson. For this lesson, you are expected to familiarize yourself with the formulas in finding terms of geometric sequence. Also, find the nth term of a geometric sequence and determine the geometric mean or geometric means of a geometric sequence. Episode, you learned about geometric sequences and how to find the next terms of geometric sequences. In this episode, we will discuss ways in finding the nth term of a geometric sequence. For example, what is the seventh term of the sequence 5, 10, 20, and so on? First, let's determine the common ratio. What do you think the common ratio is? That's correct. The common ratio of this sequence is 2. Thus, the next three terms are 40, 80, and 160. And you can easily identify the seventh term when you multiply 160 by 2. You will obtain the seventh term, which is 320. Now, what do you think is the 10th term? Using the geometric sequence 5, 10, 20, and so on, you are asked to find for the 10th term. Let us now use a formula which may help us find an unknown term of a geometric sequence. The formula in finding the nth term of a geometric sequence is a sub n is equal to a sub 1 times r raised to n minus 1. Again, the formula in finding the nth term of a geometric sequence is a sub n is equal to a sub 1 times r raised to n minus 1, wherein a sub n is the nth term, a sub 1 is the first term, r is the common ratio, and n is the number of terms. Using the sequence 5, 10, 20, and so on, let's use the formula in finding the 10th term of the geometric sequence. Given a sub 1 or the first term is 5, the ratio which is equal to 2, n is 10. Again, we are looking for the 10th term. Now, let's substitute the values in the formula. Our a sub n will be a sub 10 equal to our a sub 1 is 5, our r is 2, raised to n, our n again is 10, so that's 10 minus 1. Next, we'll have a sub 10 is equal to 5 times 2 raised to 10 minus 1 will give us 9. Then you have a sub 10 is equal to 5 times 2 raised to 9. It means that you have to multiply 2 by itself 9 times will give us 512. A sub 10 now is the product of 5 and 512 will give us, that's right, 2,560. Thus, the 10th term of the geometric sequence is 2,560. Incredible! Now, let's have another activity. What is the seventh term of a geometric sequence whose fourth term is 128 and the common ratio is equal to 4? To begin with the problem, you must have to analyze carefully what does it ask for. The problem is asking for the seventh term, but the first term was not given. First, identify the given values and the unknown variables. For this problem, the given terms are a sub 4, or the fourth term, which is equal to 128, and the common ratio, which is equal to 4. There are two unknowns: the first term, or a sub 1, and the seventh term, or a sub 7. Now let's use the formula. A sub n is equal to a sub 1 times r raised to n minus 1. Again, there are two unknowns in the problem, and to solve for a sub 7, we need to solve first for a sub 1. Since the given term is the fourth term, which is equal to 128, we can use it to solve for the value of a sub 1. Now, let's substitute the value of a sub 4, which is equal to 128, n, which is 4, and r, which is also 4, in the formula. A sub n is equal to a sub 1 times r raised to n minus 1. We will have 128 is equal to a sub 1 times the ratio, which is 4. Our n is also 4, minus 1. Then, we have 128 is equal to, let's copy first a sub 1 times 4, and 4 minus 1 will give us 3. Next, we will have 128 is equal to a sub 1 times 4, multiplying 4 by itself 3 times will give us 64. Then, divide both sides by 64 so we can isolate a sub 1. (64) divided by 64 will give us 1. What's left is a sub 1, and 128 divided by 64 will give us 2. Thus, the first term of the sequence is equal to 2. Since we have our first term, we can now solve for the unknown term, which is a sub 7. Again, using the formula, a sub n is equal to a sub 1 times r raised to n minus 1. That's a sub 7 is equal to a sub 1, which is 2, times r, which is 4, raised to 7 minus 1. Next, we will have a sub 7 is equal to 2 times 4 raised to 7 minus 1 will give us 6. A sub 7 is equal to 2 times, we will multiply 4 by itself 6 times will give us 4,096. And finally, multiplying 2 to 4,096 will give us 8,192. Thus, the first term and the seventh term of the sequence is 2 and 8,192 respectively. Great job indeed! Now, it's more swift and convenient to find the nth term of a geometric sequence using the formula, right? Now, let's try to see what you have learned from today's episode by answering this question. Find the specified term of the geometric sequence given the first term and the common ratio. the problem tells us to solve for the fifth term. Before that, let's determine first the given values. We have a sub 1, which is equal to 3, and the common ratio, which is equal to 3. After that, let's use the formula in finding the nth term of a geometric sequence. A sub n is equal to a sub 1 times r raised to n minus 1. We have a sub 5 is equal to our a sub 1, or the first term is 3, times the common ratio, which is also 3. Our n is 5 minus 1. Then you will have a sub 5 is equal to 3 times 3 raised to 5 minus 1 is, correct, 4. A sub 5 is equal to 3, then multiply 3 by itself 4 times. That's 3 times 3 times 3 times 3 will give us, correct, 81. A sub 5 is equal to the product of 3 and 81 will give us 243. Thus, the fifth term of the sequence is equal to 243. Also awesome! Well, how was the experience so far? Wonderful! To further enhance your knowledge and skills about this topic, let us discover a shorter way to identify the unknown term or terms in between terms of geometric sequences, also known as geometric means. Let's take a look at this example. 12 blank 3. The given terms are first and last terms. These terms are called the extremes. And the term or terms in between the extremes are called geometric mean or geometric means. In the sequence 2, 4, 8, 16, the numbers 4 and 8 are the geometric means of the extremes 2 and 16. I know that you are very eager to explore more about this lesson. Well, let's begin. Let's go back to the problem. 12 blank 3. The first term is 12 and the last term is 3. Now, let us substitute. But remember, the common ratio refers to the ratio of two consecutive terms. With that, we will use a sub 3 divided by a sub 2 is equal to a sub 2 divided by a sub 1. Now, let's replace it with the given values. For a sub 3 or the third term, we have 3 over or divided by the second term, which is a sub 2, is equal to a sub 2 is still unknown, so we'll just write a sub 2 divided by the first term, a sub 1, which is 12. Next, let's do cross multiplication. For this part, we will multiply a sub 2 times a sub 2 equal to 12 times 3. A sub 2 times a sub 2 will give us a sub 2 squared. That's correct. And 12 times 3 will give us, correct, that's 36. Next, let's apply getting the square of each term. So we'll have the square root of this, a sub 2 squared. What's left will be a sub 2. And the square root of 36 is 6. Thus, the geometric mean or the second term of the geometric sequence is 6. Buckle up, fasten your seat belts as we move on to the next example. Come and join me as we solve this problem together. In the geometric sequence 2, blank, blank, 250, there are two geometric means needed in this problem. Let us identify first the extremes and the number of terms. The extremes are 2 and 250, and there are 4 terms in the sequence. So, to insert terms, let us identify first the common ratio by using the formula r is equal to n minus k and the square of a sub n all over a sub k. With the given a sub 1, which is equal to 2, a sub 4, which is equal to 250, our n, which is equal to 4, and k, which is equal to 1. Now, let's substitute the given values to the formula. We will have r is equal to, our n again is 4, minus 1, and the square of our a sub 4 divided by our a sub 1. Now, use the values. We have r is equal to 4 minus 1. Our a sub 4 again is equal to 250 over a sub 1, which is 2. Then we will have r is equal to 4 minus 1 will give us 3. And the square of 250 divided by 2. Next, we will have r is equal to the cube root of 250 divided by 2 will give us 125. Getting the cube root of 125, that is equal to 5. Correct. Now, the common ratio of this geometric sequence is equal to 5. To get the succeeding term, remember to multiply the preceding term times the common ratio. Since we have 2 as our first term, we will multiply it by the common ratio, which is 5. So 2 times 5 will give us 10. And to get the third term, we will also multiply the second term by the common ratio, which is 5. So 10 times 5 will give us 50. Therefore, the sequence is 2, 10, 50, and 250. Congratulations! That was very nice. Thanks for helping me out. I hope you already developed the knowledge and skills you need in finding geometric means. Keep it up! To keep the fire burning, join me once more as we solve the following problems together. For letter A, find the geometric mean of the given extremes 3, blank, and 8. Again, we are looking for the geometric mean of the extremes 3 and 8. With that, let's use a sub 3 divided by a sub 2 is equal to a sub 2 divided by a sub 1. Let's substitute the values. Our a sub 3, or the third term, is 8 divided by the second term, is still unknown, so we will just copy a sub 2, is equal to a sub 2 again, is unknown, just copy, divided by our a sub 1, or the first term, which is equal to 3. Now, Let's cross multiply these terms. You have a sub 2 times a sub 2 is equal to 3 times 8. All right. Multiplying a sub 2 times a sub 2 will give us, okay, that's correct, a sub 2 squared. And 3 times 8 will give us, all right, that's 24. Next, let's get the square of both sides. What's left here is a sub 2. Notice that 24 is not a perfect square, so we will look for two factors of 24, which is 4 times 6. Then we will have a sub 2. Since 4 is a perfect square, the square root of 4 is correct. That's 2 square root of 6. So the geometric mean of the sequence is 2 square root of 6. Now, let's proceed to letter B. Insert geometric means in the geometric sequence 2 blank blank 686. Again, we are looking for two unknowns, which are a sub 2 and a sub 3. With that, we will use the formula first in getting the ratio, which is square root of a sub n divided by a sub k and n minus k. Let's substitute the given values. So r is equal to, our n again is 4 minus 1, and the square root of a sub n, we will use the value a sub 4, and our a sub k is a sub 1. Next, we will have r is equal to 4 minus 1, and the square of a sub 4, our fourth term, is 686. Divided by our a sub 1, or the first term, which is 2. Moving on, we have r is equal to 4 minus 1 is 3. And 686 divided by 2 will give us 343. Getting the cube root of 343 will give us, correct, that's 7. Since we already have our common ratio, we can now solve and find the missing terms. Again, that is a sub 2 and a sub 3. To get a sub 2, we will multiply the first term by the common ratio 7. So that's 2 times 7 will give us 14. Correct. And to get the third term, we will multiply the second term, 14, times the ratio, which is 7. So 14 times 7 will give us 98. So the geometric means of the sequence are 14 and 98. To sum it up, in today's episode, you were able to familiarize yourself with the formula in finding terms of a geometric sequence. Also, you were able to find the nth term of a geometric sequence and determine the geometric mean or means of a geometric sequence. Awesome! I hope you learned a lot. Never give up, and remember, winners never quit and quitters never win. Keep loving math. And that concludes our lesson for today. See you again on the next episode. And please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the DepEd TV official YouTube channel. And this has been Sir Jason Flores also. Bear in mind that learning math will always be fun and easy. Be also, be awesome. Only here on DepEd TV.
Hello, senior high learners! We are here at Museo Cotabato. It's another day to think, create, and share. Oh hey, sorry about that little interruption. This is my friend Larry, and he's fixing the watch that will bring us to our next adventure today. Is it fixed?
Yes, you can try it now.
Great, let's try it. This used to be a shiny, well-functioning invention, but it became rusty and now it causes so much trouble. Maybe someday, improved version of this watch will be released, just like how forms of media evolve. By the way, let me introduce you to my watch. Her name is Cindy, and she will help us all throughout this session. The first thing she will help us with, she will help us in recalling our previous session. Come and join us.
You have arrived at your destination.
Thank you, Cindy. Do you still recall what we have discussed in episode 3? We talked about the responsible use of media and information. Let's recall how to use social media responsibly by arranging the jumbled words. You will be given 3 seconds to answer each item.
Number 1. Something. While. Turning. Important. Off. Notifications. Doing. What media responsibility is this?
Time's up. What's your answer?
Awesome!
It's turning off notifications while doing something important. Number 2. Screen. Limit. Time. Your. What do you think this is?
Time's up. Let's see if you got it right.
Fantastic! Limit your screen time. Number 3. Post. Of. Online. And. You. What? Beware. Share. How about this? What media responsibility is this?
Time's up. Let's check.
Very good! Beware of what you post and share online. Number 4. Interaction. 4. Go. More. Offline. What is this?
Time's up. What's your answer? Let's see.
Wonderful! The answer is go for more offline interaction. Number 5. Information. Of. Site. Always. Source. The.
Time's up. Let's check your answer.
That's amazing! The answer is always cite the source of information. You are awesome! In the previous episode, you have learned that the internet has become a powerful tool that greatly affects communication and information, and that we, as active users of media and information, need to be knowledgeable and responsible digital citizens. In this episode, we will return to the past and discover how media evolved from the pre-industrial age to the information age. And we will get to know 2 theories that can provide a way to explain media evolution and its relationship to social and cultural change. Now, it's time to go back to the present time so we can start our adventure. So get ready to think, create, share, and time travel.
Please select your destination.
I want to return to the present time.
Sorry, you are not allowed to go back. This trip is pre-programmed for media evolution. Please unlock the itinerary before you proceed. To unlock your journey to the evolution of media, you must first categorize the mediums according to the age they belong. These are the mediums you will categorize: clay tablets, portable computer, cave paintings, telephone, papyrus, smartphones, television, personal computer, internet, typewriter, radio, telegraph. You will categorize these items into 4 ages. Pre-industrial age, industrial age, electronic age, and information age. What mediums were developed during the pre-industrial age? You are only given 5 seconds to answer. What mediums were developed during the industrial age? What about the mediums developed during the electronic age? Finally, what were the mediums developed during the information age? Let's find out if you have categorized each item correctly. How did you do? For pre-industrial age, we have cave paintings, clay tablets, and papyrus. Next, industrial age. The mediums of communication during this time are typewriter, telephone, and telegraph. During electronic age, the developed mediums are radio, television, and personal computer. And lastly, during information age, portable computer, smartphones, and internet were developed. Congratulations! You have unlocked the Media Evolution Itinerary.
Yes, we did it!
This is your schedule. First destination, pre-industrial age. Second destination, industrial age. Third destination, electronic age. And final destination, information age. You have arrived at your destination.
Pre-industrial age is an era that occurred before the 1700s. This period is also known as the prehistoric age. Most of the media used to record information during this time dates back to ancient civilization.
During this age, people discovered fire, created a paper with plants, and forged tools with stone, bronze, and copper.
Amazing! This only means that people in the earlier civilizations already had the skills to convey information through carving, writing, and drawing using materials that were available during that time.
Some of the earliest examples of media discovered in this period are cave paintings, papyrus paper, and clay tablets. Prehistoric cave paintings were around since 35,000 BC. To people who came after, these paintings served as a warning for danger or instruction on how to kill wild beasts. It also served as a record of history and culture. The papyrus paper was used in ancient Egypt in 2500 BC. According to Encyclopedia Britannica, the ancient Egyptians used the stem of the papyrus plant to make paper. Paper made from papyrus was the chief writing material in ancient Egypt. It was later adopted by the Greeks. It was used extensively in the Roman Empire.
Clay tablets were found in Mesopotamia in 2400 BC. According to Sotoy.com, in the ancient Near East, clay tablets were used as a writing medium, especially for writing in cuneiform. Cuneiform characters were imprinted on a wet clay tablets, with a stylus often made of reed.
It's time to travel to your next destination.
Industrial age. People in this age used steam power, developed machine tools, and manufactured various products such as books through the printing press. This age paved the way for the mass production of goods and products, and also became responsible for the widespread dissemination of information. This is the era where hand tools were replaced by machines.
During this age, 5 notable mediums were invented for much faster and better communication. These inventions are the printing press, the typewriter, motion pictures, the telegraph, and the telephone. The printing press in the 19th century allowed the mass production of books, newspapers, and other printed materials. The typewriter in the 1800s allowed a more uniform method of recording text without the confusion of understanding the handwriting of different people. The industrial age also paved the way for the introduction of motion pictures as it continued to evolve from 1890s to 1926. The telegraph revolutionized long-distance communication upon its invention around the 1830s and 1840s. This invention by Samuel Morse and other inventors worked by transmitting electrical signals over a wire laid between stations.
Samuel Morse also developed a code that is named after him called the Morse code. It assigned a set of dots and dashes for each letter of the English alphabet and allowed a simple transmission of complex messages across telegraph lines. Telephone.
It is an instrument designed for the simultaneous transmission and reception of the human voice. It is inexpensive, simple to operate, and offers an immediate personal type of communication that cannot be obtained through any other medium. According to Encyclopedia Britannica, the telephone was become the most widely used telecommunications device in the world during this time. Billions of telephones were in use around the world.
The invention of the telegraph and the telephone allowed real-time communication across a great distance. This in turn allowed people to convey messages and information in a faster and more efficient manner. Oops! Here we go again! Cindy, what's this?
That's the first generation computer.
During the electronic age, the transistor was invented. A transistor is a semiconductor device used to amplify or switch electronic signals and electrical power. This discovery started the era of electronic computing. The earliest electronic devices that used this invention were the transistor radio, the television in 1941, the first generations of large electronic computers and mainframes, and the earliest forms of personal computers.
The electronic age allowed the mass media to take form. It enabled a vast number of people to send and receive data, transmitted from a single source in real time. Time for our next destination.
This age is characterized by the massive influence of the internet. The internet has made communication and information accessible in real time and on demand anywhere across the globe. The information age and the emergence of digital media allowed real-time communication and ease of access to information through the internet, modern electronic devices, and social media platforms.
Wow, that was an informative adventure. Can you believe it? We have traveled all 4 ages. What have you observed in the evolution from pre-industrial age to the information age? That is right, change. Media changed and developed from one period to another. Can you identify what changes took place? Yes, communication mediums became better, faster, and more efficient. We have traveled through all 4 ages in media evolution. Do you remember what those are? Awesome! The 4 ages in media evolution are the pre-industrial age, the industrial age, the electronic age, and the information age. We have seen how media became better as time passed by. What do you think are the reasons why media developed through different ages? Yes, you're right! It was the necessity of having a better, faster, more efficient way of recording and communicating information, combined with the curiosity, creativity, and innovation of the people who wanted to find better ways to communicate that paved the way for these developments. On the other hand, these developments also changed the values and norms of the people.
2 theories can explain the relationship of media evolution to social and cultural change. First is through Marshall McLuhan's technological determinism theory. Second is through the cultural determinism theory. Technological determinism is the belief that media and communication have affected and will always significantly affect and change our way of life. According to this theory, society is driven by changes in media and communication technology.
McLuhan said that society adapts to technological advancements, thus changing cultural, political, and even their historical aspects. Social change is normally linked to technological advancement. As technology becomes stable, users and consumers adapt their behavior to the features and apparent benefits of this technology. For example, when smartphones first came out in the market, most people did not know how to use them. But soon after, people became more familiar with the technology, and the norms of the people changed. Now, we use smartphones for our important transactions, such as paying bills, shopping, and ordering foods. We have become dependent on our smartphones for almost everything we do. Also, through media technologies, we are easily informed and thus easily influenced by media messages. When the information is transmitted through a medium that is widely seen by people like the mass media and new media, it proposes certain meanings, building a certain image about the world. Therefore, the values and social norms promoted by media and the meanings determined by them could influence the way people think. The clothes we wear, the beauty products we use, the luxuries we buy, even the way we talk, the way we perceive things, our mood, and our behavior are all influenced by media. The influence of K-pop on a lot of Filipinos today is an example. Korean culture is always seen on TV through Korean dramas and K-pop music videos. On the contrary, Brian Winston critiqued McLuhan by citing the cultural determinism theory in his writing called How Are Media Born? Cultural determinism theory explains that it is the culture and society that shape technology. Winston proposed that society is still in control of technology, and the innovations over time do not dictate how society must adapt and functions concerning these technologies. Therefore, technology is a product of need and not the other way around, because technology, when not needed or does not have a practical use, will perish. This theory reminds us that we are the masters of ourselves. We should not let the media take over who we are. Now, can you remember a time when the media greatly influenced your decision or behavior? I'm sure you have something to tell us. I want you to post that experience on our official Facebook page at DepEdTV MIL and use the hashtag MILinfluence. That was a fun-filled lesson. Now that you have learned all the concepts you need to know in this episode, let's have our final activity. I will be giving you a scenario, and you will determine whether the scenario refers to technological determinism or cultural determinism. Number 1. Young people in the information age adapting to the latest technological trends.
If your answer is technological determinism, you are correct.
Number 2. Innovations during the industrial age gave way to the mass production of books, which molded a culture of reading.
If your answer is technological determinism, you hit the nail on its head.
Number 3. The typewriter was invented to resolve the issue of the confusion of understanding people's penmanship.
If your answer is cultural determinism, good job!
How many correct answers did you get? Very good! I hope the activity helped you identify how culture shapes technology and how the evolution of media technology shapes the norms and values of the people. Communities and individuals are bombarded constantly with messages from a multitude of sources, including TV, billboards, magazines, and the internet, to name a few. These messages promote not only products, but moods, attitudes, and a sense of what is and is not important. This means that the media can potentially manipulate you. I hope this lesson made you realize how powerful media is in shaping values and norms. Thus, strengthening your literacy on media and information is a skill that is a must in today's age. That's all for today. In the next episode, we will navigate through the different types of media. Always remember, think wisely, create smartly, and share information responsibly. My name is Sir Brex. Until next time here on DepEd TV.
Delightful day, grades 11, 12, and UCSP fanatics. Welcome to UCSP by Doncha, a diverse approach to understanding culture, society, and politics. I'm Teacher Dawn, and once again, we will learn more about the various concepts of culture. Let's recall our topic last time. It was about the characteristics of culture and aspects of culture as a complex whole, right? Here's the game, 4 picks, 1 word as a review. You will see 4 pictures or images linked by 1 word. Your aim is to work out what the word is from a set of letters given below the pictures. I'll give you 5 seconds to answer each item. Ready for the first set of pictures? Well, here they are. Based on these images, we can infer that culture is learned. Is that your answer? That's right. One of the characteristics of culture is that it is learned. Next. Given these images or pictures, was your answer shared? That's correct. Culture is shared. Let's have this third set of pictures. If your answer is variety, then you're right. Culture has variety. Wow! It seems that you can still recall our previous lesson. That's great then. So I guess we can now move on to our topic for today. I have here some words: relativism, ethnocentrism, and ethnocentric. Are you familiar with them? Don't you worry, because in today's lesson, we will learn about them. And how would we do that? Let me bring you to our studio as we talk about these words. So what are we still waiting for? Tara! So UCSB by Doncha! In today's episode, we will meet and chat with a very important person who will share with us her expertise about culture, specifically cultural relativism and ethnocentrism. Our guest for today is one of the brilliant professors of Pangasinan State University main campus, a member of the Executive Council of the National Commission of Culture and the Arts, or NCCA, Vice President of Ulupan na Pansansiyay, Salitan, Pangasinan, and an Urduha Film Festival Best Senior Actress awardee for 2 consecutive years in 2018 and 2019. And she is also celebrating her 35th year in the teaching profession this year. She's none other than Professor Elnora B. Dudang. A pleasant day to you, ma'am. I am truly grateful and honored to have you here in our show.
I'm happy to be here, and at the same time, I'm honored too. Good day to everyone.
Thank you again, ma'am, for this opportunity, even with the short notice. Ma'am Elnora, I hope that you could share more details about yourself with us beyond that brief introduction.
Okay, I am Mrs. Elnora Bidudang from Libsong East, Lingayen, Pangasinan. I am a science teacher at Pangasinan National High School for 10 years.
Wow.
And it's my 25th year of being a science teacher at Pangasinan State University, Lingayen campus.
That's wonderful to hear. Happy Teacher's Day, ma'am. And congratulations to your achievements in the teaching profession. You're such an inspiration to us teachers. By the way, I am currently a teacher for understanding culture, society, and politics. And one of the things that I'm discussing with my students right now is cultural relativism. Since you are a member of the prestigious NCCA Council, I would like to get your thoughts on these concepts.
Can I answer your question with a question? Because I was thinking, have you tried eating fresh kangkong? Have you tried eating fried grasshoppers? What about fried crickets? What about dried squid?
I think I hadn't.
It's yucky. You don't like the idea, right? Yeah. Same with me. Actually, I was shocked when I saw these people eating grease. What I have in mind po ako? Nagugutom ba sila? Bakit kinakain nila yan? Mahirap ang Pilipinas, pero we do not eat this kind of foods. But then, when I talk about it now, I think about it na ganito. Instead of asking them or telling them, they eat such kind of food, instead of commenting like that, why should I ask, why are they eating those foods? Probably I could learn something from them that later on I may find out whether there are nutrients in them. Then I've learned also that in Mexico, they are used to eat that dried squid, fried grasshoppers, because they believe that it adds nutrients to themselves, and they are being taken it as food 1,000 years ago, according to research. If we could only accept who they are, we can deviate from the real self that we have, being judgmental. Then actually, yes, you are very right. We are the cultural relativists.
Hearing this definition from Ma'am Elnora, is the concept of being a cultural relativist clearer for all of us? I think so. With that said, ma'am, how can we practice cultural relativism in the way we looked at and think of other people?
I could recall this popular saying that goes, what is acceptable in a group of people may be good and acceptable in other group of people. Oftentimes we are being judgmental, we are quick in judging certain aspects of culture of other people as uncivilized, yucky, right? But then, this group of people thinking the way we think about what they are doing. So, Ganito rin ba ang tingin nila sa atin pag kumakain tayo ng pinakbet? Ganito rin ba ang tingin nila sa atin pag nagkakamay tayo na kumakain? We should know the desired attitude, desired behavior on how we are going to accept these people that they have different cultures. Because actually, they're also people like us.
As mentioned by Professor Elnora, we've come to learn that cultural relativism refers to not judging a culture based on your own standards of what is right or wrong, strange or normal. Instead, we should try to understand the cultural practices of other groups in their own cultural context. It is a belief that cultures are equally complex. There is no such thing as a superior or an inferior culture. It is a way of viewing the beliefs, values, and practices of a culture from its own viewpoint. Cultural relativism is seeing and believing that there is no such thing as right or good or wrong or bad cultures. People have various beliefs and practices. It is important for us to understand and respect the different ways and manners of other nationalities and accept the uniqueness of the Filipino traditions. And so, a cultural relativist is someone who believes and sees culture as something with relative meaning. It does not judge other people's practices and understand that there is no such a thing as right or wrong, nor good or bad when it comes to culture. Now, how about the topic on ethnocentrism, ma'am? What is ethnocentrism?
When we talk about ethnocentrism, it's one of the common characteristics of relations between different groups. When one holds more power, more privilege, or more resources, and these resources are being used because of that they will give more power, and we have the time to dominate and marginalize others.
How about those ethnocentric individuals? How are we going to classify them, or how would we know that it's an ethnocentric individual?
Ang alam ko dito, for those individuals who do not experience other culture in depth, and that they felt that their life is the best and the most natural, the most normal, the best way of living, sila po ang alam ko na ethnocentric. These are the people wherein they use their norms and culture to make generalizations about other culture. Sabi niya, oh, isang kultura nila hindi maganda, mas best yung atin, dapat yung atin. But it should not be. We try to understand them, we try to patronize whatever they can do to help us, and then same with us, we do the same to them. And we believe that the word misjudge will be eliminated also.
With that said, ma'am, what then are the ill effects of ethnocentrism?
This ethnocentrism really will go on in our culture. This will help build a strong belief that this culture is superior to others. So, ang hindi magda, sila lang yung superior. Ito superior din. So, magkakaroon ng tinatawag na conflict. Right? If this word will continue to proliferate in our culture, then I believe conflict will grow bigger. One thing was that people perform high level of egocentrism. Believe sa sarili, makasarili. Si ako, me, I, and myself. And another one is, it will affect the intercultural communication. Intercultural communication in an ecosystem. Pag hindi makakaintindihan talaga yung mga different subcultures natin.
As shared by Professor Elnora Dudang, ethnocentrism is the belief that one's own culture is better than others. Ethnocentric people believe that one's culture is superior compared to others, and so they tend to bully and discriminate other people's cultures and practices, and compare, evaluate, and even judge other people's ways based on the values and standards set in their own culture. Don't you know that there are various ill or negative effects of ethnocentrism, such as discrimination, bullying, racism, and worst, genocide? We're somewhat familiar with the first three terms. Now how about genocide? An example of genocide was the behavior displayed by the Germans during the time of Adolf Hitler because they believed that they were a superior race. This led to the death of 6 million European Jews whom they considered as an inferior race. What then is the connection between cultural relativism and ethnocentrism? And also, why and how cultural relativism mitigates ethnocentrism?
Actually, cultural relativism is to help bridge the gap between and among the Filipino communities. And to do this, these Filipino communities will be exposed and their IKSP, indigenous knowledge and practices of these Filipino subcultures in such a way that they will be understand. And this IKSP will help every Filipinos to improve their way of living. And it will also help lessen, if not to eliminate, Filipino ethnocentrics.
Now, ma'am, can you share with us some messages to our viewers, especially the grades 11 and 12 learners that we have out there?
Yeah. So, what I want to tell them is that they should observe the golden rule. They should do unto others what they want others to do unto them. If they want respect, they should show the respect in such a way that respect will be given to them. If they want love, they should show love in such a way that they could reap love also. Remember that love begets love. Another thing is, they should be careful not to throw around charges of ethnocentrism, to try discredit people with those views that they agree and exercise their best of ethnocentrism in how to use to correct our own ethnocentric attitudes and behavior rather than that of others. And I also believe that every individual is unique. That's why we must respect everyone's uniqueness. I want to share also what I've learned from the Bible. Sabi ng Panginoon, huwag mong tignan ang maliit na puwing sa mata ng iba, but rather, tignan mo ang malaking muta sa iyong mga mata. And the last thing is, bawal ang judgmental. Kailangan nating bawasan ang maging judgmental. I-embrace natin ang kultura ng bawat ibang kulturang Pilipino para magkaisa tayong lahat. Pag dumating yung pagkakataon na yon na hindi kayo judgmental, alam ko malaki ang maitutulong ninyo sa next generation na hahawakan ninyo. Sana may natutunan kayo at maraming salamat.
It's truly an honor and pleasure that you're here with us today. In addition to what Professor said, it is widely believed in the field of sociology that ethnocentric behavior may be mitigated through the recognition and application of cultural relativism. A person can practice cultural relativism by recognizing that culture shares what is considered to be beautiful, ugly, appealing, disgusting, virtuous, funny, and abhorrent, and that these should not be the basis for evaluating other cultures. Cultural relativism shapes our understanding of different issues in the society as to why certain religions believe in this and others do not. Or how come this group eat this type of dish, wears this weird clothing, sings, and dances along to music, while others prefer not to? Don't you know that what we need is an open heart and critical mind, exposure, education, and involvement in activities and programs supporting and recognizing the uniqueness and beauty of every culture for us to truly grasp what cultural relativism means. For your assignment, which you have to write in your UCSB modules or notebooks, let me introduce to you to the new hashtag, Bawal Judgmental. State your reasons why you beg to disagree with the given statements. You have to remember that you are a cultural relativist, meaning you have to place yourself in the shoes of other people in order to understand them better. Ilocanos are thrifty because they are poor. When you don't say po or opo, you are impolite. We have to avoid going to places like Siquijor or Capiz because monsters called aswangs infest these places. We will check your assignments in the next episode. Take note, once again, that culture is not good or bad. Neither it is right nor wrong, but instead it is relative. It's another day filled with new information and ideas, right? And we've come to see and realize that there is unity in diversity, or pagkakaisa sa kabila ng pagkakaiba-iba. And I guess this is where we will end for today because some endings are meant to happen. Don't you worry! We'll still see and learn more in our next episode, so be sure to always tune in. I'm Teacher Dawn, your host for today in UCSP by Doncha, a diverse approach to understanding culture, society, and politics. Till next time, guys and gals, see ya!
Hello there! I'm your art tita. I'm Teacher Joanne. I'm glad you made it in our class today. Do you miss traveling and attending festivities? Worry not, because for our episode today, we are going to have a virtual travel to various regions and experience their arts and culture. Get ready! Come along with me! Bring with you your pen and paper. And let's learn more about contemporary Philippine arts from the regions. Since we are in a pandemic, we have missed a lot of colorful festivities. And for the first time in Philippine history, festivals were put on hold to keep us safe. Can you still remember the different festivals celebrated in the country? Let's play a game. I will show you the photos. Then, identify the festival shown. Can you name the festival? If your answer is Panagbenga Festival, then you are correct. Baguio City holds the Flower Festival, which is a month-long celebration featuring flowers in bloom. Now, let's see the second photo. What is this festival? If you answered Pahiyas Festival, then you are correct. Its main attraction is the edible kiping, molded into leaves made from glutinous rice, designed in colorful chandelier form. In Lucban, Quezon, they honor the patron saint of farmers, San Isidro de Labrador. What about this photo? If your answer is Ati-Atihan Festival, you are correct. These festivals are examples of the contemporary arts from various regions of the country. We take pride in the types of arts produced and the uniqueness of each artwork, the mark of Filipino ingenuity using available resources in our country, adapting to the changing times. You may wonder, what makes a contemporary Philippine art? And what are the contemporary arts from the regions? Contemporary arts from the regions refer to the art forms that are developed in the various regions of the Philippines that relied on existing materials from a specific region or province. The use of local materials that are indigenous to the country is utilized to make extraordinary art. Materials like abaca, bamboo, buri, rattan, and coconut are used to name some of the materials. Think more of the endless possibilities of materials around you. Recyclables from items found around your home can be made into art ornaments that express an artist's imagination. The process of identifying available materials around you will greatly help in making your future art production for this semester. You must first need to know what makes the history of Philippine art. Let's have a picture quiz show. Answer the questions flash on your screen and write the answer on your paper. 1. A royalty's home in Maranao traditional architecture. A. Bahay Kubo. B. Bahay na Bato. C. Torogan. The answer is C. Torogan. It is a Maranao home for the Sultan and his royal family, and it symbolizes nobility. 2. A dance depicting the story of rescuing a princess in a Maranao epic darangin. A. Itik-itik. B. Singkil. C. Tinikling. The correct answer is B. Singkil. This dance took its name from the heavy rings worn on the ankle of the Muslim princess. A kulintang and agong ensemble always accompanies the dance. 3. A Tagalog ancient script used in writing during pre-Hispanic time. A. Abecedario. B. Alfabeto. C. Baybayin. Is your answer C. Baybayin? It is correct. Baybayin is a 16th century handwriting used by most inhabitants of Luzon and some parts of the Visayas. It is being revived nowadays as a calligraphy art. 4. The symbol of Maranao art depicts a bird-like figure holding a fish on its beak. What is the name of this carving design? A. Hariraya. B. Panolong. C. Sari Manok. The correct answer is C. Sari Manok. The legendary Maranao bird Sari Manok is a symbol of good fortune. 5. A traditional genre of music about undying love written in Filipino, mostly sang by women. A. Awit. B. Kundiman. C. Pasyon. The correct answer is B. Kundiman. The origin of the word kung hindi man, or if not meant to be, has its common themes which are about being heartbroken and willing to die for love. You have 5 correct answers. Congratulations, you are awesome.
To do better in designing your chosen art form, such as visual arts, performing arts, or literary arts, you must understand the roots of our Philippine art. Let's take a look into the art history of our country to know the influences of our rich culture. The timeline graph that can be seen
will tell us about the diversity of Philippine arts.
In our previous lessons, we have learned about the Neolithic Age Angono petroglyphs in Rizal Province, a national cultural treasure, one among the oldest recorded drawings of 127 human and animal figures engraved on a rock wall in the late 300 BC. While shell bracelets and ornaments were found at the grave that dates back in 4854 BC in Duyong Cave in Palawan. The Manungul burial jar tells us about seafarers and its people and their belief of the afterlife. Daily activities and rituals are very important during the pre-colonial times as seen in the art forms. Nature inspired the dances of the highlands as they mimic the movement of certain animals like birds in the Talip dance of Ifugao. The bird tikling, as observed by the people of Leyte, was the inspiration of the national dance Tinikling, while the Pangalay dance in Sulu mimics the movement of waves and seabird. Storytelling is an art. One must be a good storyteller to pass on oral literature from one generation to the next. Day-to-day life and mythical heroic stories of Aliguyon were told in chants as practiced by women of Ifugao while planting rice. The UNESCO declared Hudhud ni Aliguyon of the Ifugaos and the Darangen of the Maranaos as included among the list of intangible cultural heritage of humanity. Maranaos performed the Darangen to narrate in song. Female and male performers sing the Darangen during wedding celebrations that typically last several nights. Music is played in joy or in sorrow. Materials available greatly influence the use of artworks such as weaving mats by the Tinalak weavers. It is said that the patterns of mats are made from the design they dreamt of. The Inabel of Ilocanos and the Cordilleran Ikat, the process of dyeing threads. Wood carving is an art form and plays an important role just like the Bulul, the guardians of the rice field and granaries in the Cordilleras, and the carving of geometric forms ukir, meaning ukit or ukil of the Tausug, Samal, and Bajau. Islamic art forbids the use of facial or animal forms in artworks, therefore, the art piece is stylized in a non-figurative abstract. The Mananaos made similar carvings on housings called turogan, with the distinct outer beam design in fern-like pattern called panolong. In pre-colonial Philippines, arts are for ritual purposes as part of everyday life. The geographical location and experience therein influence art. These architectural art forms play the role of how religion develops the perspective in arts. The Spanish colonizers arrived in our country and found the Visayans with tattoos ornamenting their bodies with intricate designs. They named the islands as La Isla de los Pintados, or Island of the Painted Ones, before calling it the Philippines. The Pintados are being remembered in the Visayas with the Pintados Festival. Tattoo as an art is believed to have the protection from evil spirit. It is still practiced and being revived, especially in the Cordillera Administrative Region. From deities where nature was worshipped to Catholicism, the architectural landscape changed with enormous grand churches made of adobe, limestone, or brick. Philippine tropical Baroque churches characterized grandeur in the 16th to the 18th century. The awit and corrido were the two musical forms based on European literature. Musical chants of the life, passion, and death and resurrection of Jesus Christ emerged in the Passion. Cenaculo was written, and Comedia, a play in verse which revolves in social, political, and religious conflicts of Christians and Muslim heroes. The Zarzuela, an opera featuring singing and dancing, are examples of the performing arts. Religion and secularization transformed the indigenous arts in some parts of the country except in the Cordillera Administrative Regions due to the inaccessibility of the area until the Americans arrived. This is the modern art era. To show the presence of their governance, the Americans commissioned the urban planner architect Daniel Hudson Burnham. He designed the Luneta Park and placed the park at the center of the city. Same goes with Burnham Park at the summer capital, Baguio City. His idea for parks is for people to freely discuss their ideas in an open-air setting. Among the notable buildings designed by architect Daniel Burnham is located in my province, the provincial capital of Pangasinan. The Capitol building of Pangasinan in Lingayen, an example of a neo-classical design. This was one of the country's 8 architectural treasures by the National Commission for Culture and the Arts. Similar to its grandeur is the National Museum Complex, one of the greatest work of Burnham. Higher education was considered a priority during the American era. The University of the Philippines was established in 1908, producing national artists like Fernando Amorsolo, along with father of Philippine arts, national artist Guillermo Tolentino, who sculpted the famous Bonifacio Monument and UP Oblation. A new talent also emerged. National artist Victorio Edades studied in the United States and was known as father of modern art with his masterpiece, The Builders, followed by Carlos Botong Francisco and Galo Ocampo as the modernists. During the American era, theater was introduced to the country. The vaudeville, an origin from France, is Philippinized and soon became known with the local name vaudeville. The Japanese during the Second World War dislikes English and prefers Filipino as a way of communication.
Cultural workers were forced to serve to promote the Japanese government in propaganda write-ups. The post-war time is also called Modern Filipino Era. It was until 1969. It is the rise of visual artists.
The visual artists of the Philippines in the 1950s divided art competition categories into conservative and modern. Conservative art is academic art. It's more of Fernando Amorsolo type of followers, with landscape and scenery and a realist tradition of painting. The modernists, also followers of Victorio Edades, took New Expressionism with the 13 Moderns as a group of artists dedicated in modern art. The 1970s is the era of contemporary arts. The Philippines is getting more famous with the art scene with the building of the Cultural Center of the Philippines that houses various arts. In 1987, the National Commission for Culture and the Arts was established as the overall policy-making body for preservation, development, and promotion of Philippine arts and culture. Contemporary art is the works of 21st century artists. In a contemporary artwork, the audiences play an active role in the processes of constructing meaning to the artwork. It reflects the reality in our society. There is no need for us to be inside a museum or to join festivals during the pandemic. Just merely watching television, film, or online social media platforms are already an example of indulging in contemporary art. Now, here are the highlights of our timeline in Philippine arts. Ethnic era, emphasis on integral life. Islamic era focuses on geometric designs. Spanish era, for more than 300 years, teaches about faith and Catholicism. American colonial period, emphasis is on secular art form. Japanese era focuses in Orientalization. Filipino modern era, after the Second World War, teaches us about national identity. Contemporary era teaches us about social realism. How do you feel after learning about Philippine art? Are you proud to be a Filipino? What symbol could you associate your feelings with? For your homework, I would like you to draw a symbol that signifies your feelings after discovering the Philippine art history. Write at least 5 sentences on how you value this new knowledge based from the symbol that you draw. You can post your artwork in our Facebook page, Art Tita. Your work might be featured in our next episodes. Thank you for your time with me today. I am Teacher Joanne, your art tita. I hope you enjoyed learning today. So join me again next time. Remember that art is life. Keep safe and God bless you. Bye!
The Department of Education supports the journalism programs and projects as stipulated in Republic Act No. 7079, which mandates the development and growth of campus journalism as a means of strengthening ethical values, encouraging critical and creative thinking, and developing moral character and personal discipline of the Filipino youth. The Special Program in Journalism and the National Schools Press Conference provide avenues to realize the principles reflected in the Campus Journalism Act of 1991. Integral in the journalism program is strengthening the advocacy of producing a news-literate society. This can be done by purposeful information dissemination through various modalities for news consumers not just to be aware of what's happening, but to influence decision on what needs to be done. In the current context, news reliance is customary among household members, and this requires the news consumers to detect the authenticity of information provided. Before we figure out what is in store for us today, let us intently listen to the messages of Assistant Secretary for Curriculum and Instruction, Alma Ruby C. Torrio, and Bureau of Curriculum Development Director, Jocelyn B.R. Andaya.
Good day to all of you, especially to our student televiewers. The current context makes all of us, especially the students, dependent on news, specifically in waiting for updates about education. The news consumption is advisable. There is a need to check that the information we get is real or authentic. The proliferation of fake news has an adverse effect on the mindset, which leads to how we perceive people, things, or circumstances. Hence, vital to the current technological sphere is educating the viewing public, specifically the students, on how to spot fake news. Regarded as digital natives, students' news literacy includes the ability to differentiate what authentic news is from what is not. The Department of Education strongly believes that a progressive nation is composed of a well-informed citizenry. Thus, educated news consumers help in making informed decisions. This is to say that reliance on credible news sources is highly encouraged. Today, we are with you as you learn profoundly about checking news sources and verifying details of the news shared in various platforms. I commend the Bureau of Curriculum Development through its journalism programs and projects, which help shape young journalists to be purveyors of truth and disseminators of accurate and credible information. Let me take this opportunity to thank our education stakeholders for continuously supporting our journalism-related endeavors. Our gratitude to the resource persons whose passion is to share their knowledge for the viewers to be enlightened on matters concerning news literacy. Have a fun-filled learning session and mabuhay po tayong lahat.
Good day, our dear televiewers. Just like all of you, I believe that being informed is empowering, but getting the right information is liberating. It is timely that education stakeholders tune in to watch educational programs that ensure continuous learning on the part of our students. At a time when dependency on multimedia instruction is fast becoming the norm, we also need to be educated on the principles of journalism as consumers of news. The truth is, it is beneficial to check the authenticity of the news prior to sharing it with others. Thus, accounting for credible news sources must be an integral part of our routine. We are accustomed to checking news items on broadsheets, on radio, and on television. We even do online checking of news items. And since journalism influences both the producers and consumers of news, fact-checking and source vetting become imperative. This proves that journalism is indeed a collaborative enterprise. This day initializes the initiative of the Department of Education to impart invaluable knowledge to the televiewers on the key concepts and principles of purposeful and responsible journalism. The Bureau of Curriculum Development supports the journalism-related undertakings by spearheading programs and projects for student journalists to live by the tenets of their target profession, thereby contributing to national transformation. With today's segment, I am certain that the viewers, especially the students and parents of various households, will be more introspective in checking for news content and sources. We hope that as you watch, you also list down the significant information shared by all our resource persons. Let us remember that making use of correct information, specifically during these times, is not only knowledge gaining, but also life-saving. Always remember that at the end of the day, we all deserve the truth. Have a productive day, everyone, and peace and all good to all of you.
Have you been victimized by fake news? Was there a time when you believed in something just to discover later on that it was not true? Today, we invite you to join us not just to determine ways on how to spot fake news, but to gain deeper understanding of what fake news really is and be knowledgeable about the danger that such news brings. With us are two journalism advocates whose expertise is in line with the topic we wish to share with you today. They will guide us in understanding what fake news is and help us in spotting fake news.
The internet, particularly social media, has become a part of life, especially for Filipinos in the urban areas. The number of Filipinos who use the internet versus the total population, or what they call the internet penetration rate, has increased significantly since the early 2000s. As of 2019, about 79 million Filipinos out of 110 million use the internet. That means an internet penetration rate of about 72%, a staggering increase of more than 3,300% from the figures of 2000. Now, it's not surprising that the internet penetration rate in the country is rapidly increasing. as more and more Filipinos use the internet for a wide array of life transactions, from education to banking to shopping to navigation, among others. The Philippines is also ranked 12 worldwide in terms of the number of internet users as of the first quarter of 2020. And it ranks higher than many developed or bigger countries, which is quite ironic, especially given the fact that it has one of the slowest average internet speeds in the world. Furthermore, for 4 consecutive years, our country has been at the top spot globally in terms of the amount of time that Filipinos spend on social media. Filipinos spend an average of 3 hours and 53 minutes, about 4 hours, on social media every day, way above the time spent by people from more developed countries or bigger countries. Hence the label social media capital of the world.
What is fake news?
Now, one of the biggest setbacks with the rise of the internet or the internet coming of age is the proliferation or the spread of fake news online. Of course, the term fake news is in a way already self-explanatory. It is obviously false information created or circulated on purpose or not on purpose to deceive readers, shift public opinion, or even inflict harm to a person or group. Some scholars differentiate between fake news and false information. Fake news is said to be narrower in scope as it refers only to political affairs stories, while false information is broader because it goes beyond current political affairs or it goes beyond news. In other words, false information is disinformation across a broader range of topics, not just politics, and also a broader range of genres, not just news. Fake news can be online misinformation or false information that is spread without political agenda or motive and is usually just unintended distortion of content or information. Or it can be online disinformation, which refers to false information that is systematically spread by groups or individuals with political intent or profit motive. According to several studies, there really are paid networks of disinformation that employ troll farms and spread fake news in the Philippine online sphere. The motive is usually to shift public opinion in favor of someone or a group or an idea. Fake news can be quotes attributed to the person or the group who did not say these things at all. And we have a lot of these online and especially on Facebook. As you can see, here are the examples. Or it can be news of events that did not really happen or were told in an exaggerated manner. Or it could be what people call clickbait headlines or clickbait webpage titles, which are written using language of sensationalism. So here are some of the examples. But they do not really represent the content accurately, if there is even an accurate story to begin with. Rarely, false information can be an actual story from a legitimate media firm that was written based on only one or very few sources or based on unreliable sources, and the writer or the reporter failed to verify the information prior to publication. However, journalists, especially at this time, are very keen on verifying information and providing proof for their stories. For example, accompanying photos of the event are also published to play their role as beacon of reliability, so to speak, or to avoid being tagged as peddlers of fake news, especially at this time when journalism is burdened by the task to distinguish itself, to establish a brand of being a source of reliable information. In my study on Philippine news practices in the time of the internet, most journalists in the sample reported that their newsrooms modified existing practices or added new practices in response to the rise of disinformation or systematic disinformation, and the rise of agents that try to delegitimize or even demonize journalism. An example of these practices is more stringent fact-checking and more ways to engage the audience, get their attention, amid the many other alternative sources of content.
What are the statistics on fake news?
In a 2018 Pulse Asia survey, majority of the Filipinos in the sample changed their views about politics and government because of something they had read, seen, or listened to over the internet. Now this further shows the heavy influence of the internet over how Filipinos perceive the world or their society. And this underscores the importance of being able to evaluate online information and spot fake news. Education or internet literacy or media literacy plays a crucial role because social media networks can only do so much. They can reduce the incidence of fake news, but not totally weed out fake news from their sites. What is encouraging, though, is the fact that Filipinos are more likely to be aware of the existence of fake news. In another Pulse Asia survey in 2018, 88% of Filipinos in the sample said that they are aware of fake news circulating in social media. Therefore, it appears that there is a high concern over the proliferation of fake news, and that's a good start.
How does fake news affect the society?
Fake news or online mis- and disinformation can severely impact society in many ways. In this time of the COVID-19 pandemic crisis, for example, false information about virus transmission, vaccine discovery, and other distortions of scientific information can be a matter of life or death. False information about ways of preventing COVID-19 transmission, for example, that do not have any scientific basis whatsoever, were circulated on Facebook about a month ago. And the problem is that a lot of people already shared that content, which could pose health risks to people who believe it. Fake news about a vaccine being discovered or mass-produced can also give false hope to people. Fake news about a product can lead to financial losses to business enterprises, while fake news about individuals can damage their reputation and harm their emotional well-being, even in the years to come. Fake news can even be detrimental to a democracy such as ours, because it can sabotage political discussions online.
What laws or policies can be violated by people or parties that spread fake news?
Because fake news is a relatively new concept, laws that criminally penalize the peddling of fake news have yet to be passed. The Cybercrime Prevention Act of 2012 punishes cyber libel, or the publication of malicious online content, real or imaginary, that could harm the reputation of a person. In this unique time of the pandemic crisis, the government also passed the Bayanihan Hilas 1 Act, which, during its effectivity, penalized the peddling of fake news. Social media networks have also taken some steps in trying to address the fake news problem. Facebook, for example, hired independent content verifiers. Repeated sharing of fake news can also get your account disabled. However, at the end of the day, effective education on spotting fake news or evaluating online information is still the best weapon against fake news.
In recent years, we've increasingly seen or heard the use of the term fake news. But fake news is not something new. However, the way it is being passed around has changed along with the technologies available to humans. From spoken word to printed materials and now to social media, bogus stories can reach more people more quickly than ever before. But we should not be afraid of fake news. By developing the right skills, we can tell the truth from false information. I'm Kuya Jansen, and here are a few tips in identifying fake news. Number 1. Check the source. Check the about page of the source for information on the owner of the web page. Make sure that the content you see on the site meets the standards of quality journalism. Inspect the site's URL, because a lot of fake sites create a URL that is similar to the URL of a legitimate news site, and this may go unnoticed by an untrained eye. Number 2. Read beyond the headline. Some headlines may sound exaggerated or provocative, and this must be a sign for you to read a little more before sharing the information. Even in legitimate news sites, the headline doesn't always tell the whole story. Number 3. Check the author. The article author's name can be seen on the byline, which is usually found below the title. Look up the author and see the other things they've written. Sometimes, the author is not even real. If there is no author, you may not want to trust it. Number 4. Check supporting sources. Check the source of the information or data presented in the article. One of the ways that fake news spread is when people keep repeating or sharing the same information, but no one has verified it. Determine if the information actually supports the story. There are instances where the institution or the quote found in the article is not real. Number 5. Check the date. Legitimate information, when shared without its proper context or reposted to make it appear as relevant to the current event, may be considered as fake news if it ends up deceiving the public. Number 6. Is it a joke? Learn the difference between news and satire. Most satires are funny, ironic, and exaggerated, as they are meant to entertain and criticize. Normally, it is labeled as such, but remember that this is not news. It is creative work. Number 7. Check your biases. In psychology, confirmation bias is the tendency to search for, interpret, or favor information that confirms or supports one's beliefs or values, while discounting information that doesn't. You might want to double-check that your own beliefs or emotions aren't clouding your judgment. Number 8. Ask the experts. Ask from experts or cross-check with fact-checking organizations or websites to know whether the news is verified and accurate. Seek advice from official sources such as government websites. Lastly, use your common sense. While news sources have the duty to report facts objectively and without bias, we readers remain to be the first line of defense against fake news. It is our job to verify the information that we are reading. Always check and think critically.
That has been a great learning experience. I am sure that by now, the following questions have been answered. What is fake news? Are there data available on fake news dependency? How does fake news affect the society? What laws or policies can be violated by people or parties that spread fake news? What words are associated with fake news? How do we spot fake news? Today, we have also learned how to spot fake news. So next time we refer to the news, we can do the following. Check the source, read beyond the headline, check the author, check supporting sources, check the date, check your biases, ask the experts. That's all that we have for today. Let us remember that information we get from credible sources is always enlightening and at this point in time, life-saving. Happy day, everyone!